are having a wonderful weekend and a beautiful Sunday. So hello, hello, and welcome, welcome. If you don't know who I am Tara with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot. You can check out all of my information down below. My website, kittensweightsandtarot.com. Maybe check out Patreon or my YouTube members. Maybe the Witchy Shop, Desert Cauldron, or James's Crystal Shop, Light of Raga. All of those links are down below. And by the way, yesterday, the first, that's when a lot of goodies go out for Patreon and for my newsletter. So if you aren't signed up for the newsletter, maybe consider signing up for that. I only send out a newsletter once a month. I don't do any sort of spammy stuff or anything like that. So just once a month newsletter has witchy goodies on there, YouTube channels that I'm watching, books that I'm reading, crystals I'm using, tea that I've made, because I love to blend, my own teas. So yeah, if you're interested in any of that, definitely go check it out. And yeah, oh my goodness. So I took a little break last week from our live chat, just doing a little revamping, for my channel, for Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and all of that. And lots of stuff has been coming up, lots of healing and meditations. And so I am so excited to be spending my Sunday with you guys here today. Let's see. Susie's here. Hello, hello. Liesel is here. Susie says, I loved your nature walk video, Liesel. I'll definitely have to go check that out. Nancy is here. Hello. Susie says, looks so pretty as always. Well, thank you. Today we are alien. Oh, hey, Patrick is here. He says, hi, beautiful souls. Love you all. Lisa says, so glad, Susie. I wanted to share that with you, darling. All right. So what do you guys have cooked up for today? Any magicalness? Maybe it's just some mundane 3D-ness. Maybe we got some meditations lined up for ourselves, maybe some healing. Let me know. Before we jump into that, first of all, I do want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. We are well over 10,000 subscribers now. Like, whoa. And also everybody who jumps into these live chats and hangs out with us, everybody who watches our videos. We have a channeling video coming out tomorrow, actually, every Monday, as we do at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And tomorrow's video is on Brittany Murphy. So we were able to channel Brittany Murphy's ego / higher self, and what she had to say was rather interesting. And I think you guys should definitely check it out. So whether or not you are a fan of Brittany Murphy, it's always good to try to get as many different types of points of views and polarity as possible to aid us in our own healing and our own journey through awakening and ascension. So definitely go check it out. And also want to say thank you to all of my YouTube members. So Lisa, Kayla, Susie, Nancy, and also my patrons, Myrna and Karen and Palu, Lisa, Heather, Lily, Dana, Jamie, Kayla, Surian, Brandy, Jason, and Brian. Mwah! Love you guys. All right. Well, I have some things to share with you guys since we took the week off last week. Some little things here and there. I know that people have had some birthdays, a lot of birthdays going on, all the June babies, late May babies, so Gemini babies. Love you guys. But anyway, let me show you what I've been working on. So I've been working on creating my own apple cider vinegar, and actually today is the day where I'm going to be straining out all this apple chunks, apple cores and things like that, and just leaving what's left is the juice, and the juice has got to sit for a long while still, so it gets nice and fermenty, so it turns into that apple cider vinegar. But so far it's been doing really good. It's been able to create its own bubbles and everything. I have a good mother growing at the top there, which is wonderful. So yeah, I just used some spare fabric I had left over just as a nice little filter on the top. But yeah, look at my baby in there. We'll go have some apple cider vinegar. So if you guys are interested in our little homesteady DIY journey, check out James and I over at AZ Offgrid on the Instagrams. All righty, let's see. Susie said, I really love the daffodils on the thumbnail. Oh, yeah. I'm like, spring, summer. Lisa says, I did some healing videos while I was out mountain biking. That sounds awesome. Umbra is here. Says, hi, Tara. It will be nice if you could channel someday art and the subject of emotion. That's a great idea, actually. I love that. Art, emotion, so that creative flow through us, the muse. That would be an interesting one. I love that suggestion. Actually, I'll make sure that I write that down later. Angela's here. Oh, hey, Angela. Says blessings, blessings to everyone. Today, that all is well with you. Blessings on your day. Thank you, Susie. She posted our little AZ off-grid Instagram handle if you guys want to check it out. Lisa says, I've been working on a special Gemini season musical instrument. Oh, really? And Susie was also saying Umbra had a fantastic idea. Angela said, sorry, trouble with keys, the mobile. I mean, the phones are so tiny, like, and every time I do spell something correctly, spell check thinks I didn't spell it correctly. It's like, I spell bike, B-I, there was an actual, like an O accidentally got in the B-I-O-K-E. It says, oh, you meant to say bronchial tubes? What? Anyway, so yeah, I don't see how AI is ever going to take over the world at that rate. But anyway, we have some other things that I created actually yesterday. Okay, so I made a pen holder out of a horse bone. Yeah, this part wasn't attached. I attached this part, but yeah, so let me take my pens out of here. While James and I were out on a walk, I came across this cut bone. So I don't know who was eating wild horse, but um, I like to collect and identify bones, and this was definitely from horse. So I don't know what happened, but it did get sliced. And so I cleaned it up. I did some spray enamel just to kind of seal everything because it is, you know, porous, it is bone. Cleaned out the inside as best I could, you know, get out all that stuff and all the dirt and everything because it's been, I think, here for quite a while. I'd say this is several years worth that this horse has been gone. So cleaned it out. It wasn't really going to stand on its own. So I got one of our cool stones from the property. So this actually has a lot of iron in it. It actually looks like bloodstone, which is pretty cool. And then I got some of our like it's called quickwood, and it like attaches things permanently. And so I painted it and everything to kind of look a little bit like the bone. But yeah, now I have a nice pen holder. And speaking of pens, we're going to be utilizing them today for what you guys voted on during the poll that I posted on Thursday. And actually, this is my brand new pen that I bought for myself because my birthday is coming up on the 10th. And so I wanted to give myself a little birthday gift. I love pens. I love fountain pens. So I have this beautiful sparkly one. This is called Narvalure by Narwhal. And it's a double broad fountain pen for those of you that are nerdy fountain pen folk. I have never used a double broad before, but it's juicy, let me tell you. And I have my newest ink that I also purchased because I got a few inks to go along with it. I got turquoise. So it's a beautiful, beautiful color. It's actually kind of a dark, like blue-green. So I love the turquoise by Noodlers. I love all the Noodler inks because for the most part, they're real juicy. And you don't want your pens to run dry. You want some juiciness. So I got something called tanager, which is just like our tanager birds out here. That was in homage to them with their like yellow orangey breasts. I also purchased Purple Mountain's Majesty. It's a gorgeous purple. And what was the other one? Army green. Yeah, I dig their army green. So there we go. We're going to be using the pens today. I'm going to be using two of James's pens. These are his TWSBIs. And I have my paper here. So we will get into that shortly, but after our weekly reading. So those of you that are wondering, like, what poll, what are you talking about? Like, why are you having pens? What's going on? If you go over to my YouTube channel page every Thursday, you know, right before we have a live chat on Sunday, I ask you guys, like, what do you want to do during the Sunday live chat? What theme do you want during that live chat? And so it was it pulled out by just a hair. It won by just a few votes, but it was to do a tarot story. So I used to be a former English teacher for a really long time, high school English teacher. So we're going to be pulling out some characters, a plot, some rising action. We're going to have some falling action, resolution. We're going to do the whole 9 yards with creating a story, right? But we're going to use our tarot cards, and you guys are going to be able to help me out. So I'm going to have you guys pull some cards for me. I'm going to write them down on paper, and then with all the information we get, I'm going to create a story. So, all right, let's go back here. What you guys have to say. Angela's like, autocorrect? More like auto can't write it correctly. I know, right? Nancy said, cool. Susie said, wow, pretty cool. Angela said, what a beautiful bone. Has great vibes. He looks like he needs a name. What should we name the bone? That would be awesome. If you guys could come up with a name for this guy, that would be wonderful. Thank you, Susie. Posted my birth date. She says, you get younger looking every year. Oh, thank you. Maybe I got some Benjamin Button going on. Angela says, if you love it, I'll have to write a birthday rhyme for you. Sure, I wouldn't mind. Angela said, hug Susie, blessings and blessings to Tara and everyone else in the chat. Angela said, blessed birthday. May it be the very best. May it come with a world of cake and treats and crystals and no stress. May everything be wonderful, just like you for your big day. Angels, hugs to you. Blessed birthday. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, my birthday will be not this week, but so not tomorrow, Monday, but the following Monday will be my birthday. My little brother's birthday is actually coming up on Tuesday. Yeah, so this year I will be 43. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'm so excited. I get so excited about birthdays, like everybody else's birthday, my own birthday. Like, I think I just like to party. So, Susie says, if I'm too chatty, Jupiter is conjunct to my natal Mercury. And just said, no trouble at all. Glad you like it. And just said, OMG, so do I. I love birthdays. Yes. Yes. And then Susie wished a happy birthday to my brother, Brian. Gosh, how old is my brother going to be? My brother will be 37. I had to count back 6 years. I'm like, so yeah, he's still a baby. All right. Well, so those were the things that I was working on, including some like shadow work and cube work, things like that. But yeah, working on the apple cider vinegar, creating my little pen holder. And yesterday, there's a spiritual tool that I don't bust out very often. It's usually only when I'm doing big work, but every once in a while, like I just feel like I need to work with it or need to have it around me. And that was my Kongling. So a Kongling is a human femur bone that has been turned into a horn. They create them in Tibet. They haven't used real human femurs since 1940, which is where my Kongling comes from. It's antique. So nowadays, if you're going to get a Kongling, it's going to be made out of yak bone, or it's just going to be made out of wood made to look like bone. But it's illegal to use human bone because there was too much of like a black market with that. You could see how that could get out of hand because before, like the whole purpose of a Kongling is to like have the energy or the spirit of the person that the bone belongs to help to attract other spirits depending on what you're doing. So in like Tibetan like death rituals and transformational rituals, things like that, they would take the bone horn of the deceased and try to call in any spirits that were feeling connected to 3D, help them to cross over, or call in any sort of spirit for whatever it is that they are working on. Hold on, I wonder how our laundry is doing over there. But the type of bone that they would use was usually either from somebody who committed horrendous crimes or from somebody who passed away violently or tragically. So, and they felt like that there was so much energy surrounding that that it would help to attract other energies needing help, things like that. So, anyway, this is my Kongling. I think some of you guys have seen this on the channel before. So yeah, this one is antique. They obviously don't use human bone anymore, but this is a human femur. Um, and it's been encrusted here with some carnelian and turquoise, and it's been hand hammered with silver. I just need to shine up the silver a bit, I guess. But it has a beautiful, intricate design on it, and it's got the two holes for the sound to come out. It actually needs a great deal of beeswax to sound like a horn again, so it's not that usable as a horn anymore, but I just like to utilize the energy with it. And so while I was out yesterday with my other early birthday gift, one that James got me, he got me a kilic, which is a Turkish sword, and I have always wanted one, really. So I've been really having a lot of fun with that Turkish sword, spinning it around, and it feels like I'm just like tapping into a past life. It just feels so natural to use it, and you really get into a meditative healing space. So it's like less playing, I guess, with it and more of a spiritual tool. And so I had to have my Kongling with me while I was out in my hike with my sword yesterday. So, and if you guys want to check out the little hikes that we did with my new Kilic, you could go check it out on Instagram at AZOffgrid. But anyway, so my bone is going to be hanging with me today. I actually slept with it under my pillow last night, and I know that I had some pretty weird dreams. I don't remember them being nightmares or anything, but I just can't remember what the dreams were. But I know they were intense. I know they were cray cray, which was probably awesome, but I don't know. So I like to think that I've done some good work last night. um, let's go back here. Angela said, "Blessed birthday to Brian, to make cake and hugs be his on his big day and every day as it should be. No stress, just a blessed day. Amen." Susie said, "What is funny is my brother's birthday is June 17th, and we are both Geminis like you and Brian. Dude, that is cool. Gemini homies coming together." Angela said, "Ooh, wow, a birthday cluster fun." Susie saying hello to James. Angela said, "Hello, other big bone. What's her name? Does she have one?" This one, oh gosh, I had one at some point. I connected it. It was actually a male's bone. Um, but I haven't used it in so long that I have forgotten the name, because I usually keep it wrapped in a cloth because it has really potent energy and you don't want to just like leave it unwrapped. But I was trying to use it last night. That's why it was unsheathed. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you guys want to rename him, go ahead. I have forgotten his name for now. I could retap in, of course. We'll find his name once again. I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue. um, Nancy says, "That's amazing. Truly a treasure." Magic said, "Rafta Rasa magic power tool. Love it. I love the bones." Lisa said, 1717 on the clock. Peg is here. It says, "Everybody calm down. I'm here." Apologies for being tardy to the party. Oh, hey, no worries. We don't get detention in this classroom, okay? Peg said, "My daughter, number two's birthday is the 16th, and my son-in-law is tomorrow. Love the Geminis." Well, you know what? We're gonna have to do a universal like happy birthday because, well, there's a very special lady in here who also had a birthday, but I don't know if she wants everybody to know that it was her birthday, so I won't shout out her name yet, unless she wants me to. And you know who I'm talking about. um, Let's see. Angela said, "I tucked myself under my ancestor's quilt to get my rest last night, and I had a bit of a dream where there were lots of figures around the quilt as I was resting. It had 3 generations, maybe more, working on it until it was done. It was given to me a few years ago. Never used it because I was worried I'd ruin it." Wow. Susie's saying, Peg, happy birthday to them. Otis, you know what? Otis is a good name. And it would be easy to remember because I think of Milo and Otis, right? Otis. Otis it is. Otis. And I think it's probably a lot better than the name I originally came up with, which was obviously harder to remember. So Otis it is. Peg says, happy birthday. Peg also likes Otis. All right. Otis is our Kongling from now on. All right, so let's do a little happy birthday before we start slanging some cards for this upcoming week. Yay! Lisa saying, Angela, that's wonderful. Angela's also liking the name Otis, and she said the other bone is Milo, right? Dude, Milo and Otis. Oh my gosh, that's cute. That's cute. I dig it. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Okay, let's put my bones aside. All right, let's see. What decks do I want to use for this upcoming week? Let's use the Antique Anatomy Tarot, which is one that I mentioned in the newsletter. Again, if you're interested in signing up for the newsletter, the link is down below. But let's do Antique Anatomy Tarot. And let's use the Oracle of Oddities. And we'll just open that up. Boom. So Antique Anatomy and Oracle of Oddities were both created by Claire Goodchild, if you want to go check out her shop. All right. So let's see, what decks are you guys working with? Maybe you're working with some runes. I do have some runes here, by the way. Maybe you're working with the pendulum or good old-fashioned intuition, just channeling that info, in which case I'm all about that as well. All right. And I must say, I love hanging out with you guys on Sunday. Like, this is so fun. Susie said, love, love, love the Scully bag. Dude, I was so happy when I found this. I got this in Scottsdale. There was a little like touristy shop in Scottsdale. And normally I don't really go into touristy shops, but I saw this in the window. I was like, oh, that is a tarot bag if I've never seen one. You know. But yeah, there are different colors, but we had to go with some flaming hot pink, man. Angela said the ancestors and bones seem to be a theme today. Yes, for sure. All right, so Susie's working with the RWS. Angela said a bone themed tarot. I've been on a bone kick lately. I mean, I'm always on a bone kick because I'm the bone collector, but just especially a little extra. Peg says, now I need a big fat skull to call Garfield. Nice. Silver Star, hey. She says, happy birthday to the beautiful June babies. Hello, all lurky. I'm driving home. All right, we'll be safe on the way home. Nancy says the Otis is also a great name. Susie said, me too. You are such a gift to all of us. Aw, thank you. Lisa said, Tarot of the Divine. It has legends and deities from around the world. Ooh. And Peg is just going to wing it, yo. That's how I like it. All right, so Susie says the star card flew out. All right, so let's get to shuffling because every day I'm shuffling. Literally. All right. Actually, shuffling today. I have some readings today. One of those readings is a conchomancy reading today. I'm really excited to do that. It was going to be a video call, but it was a little hard to sync up the time. Sometimes when I get people in Australia, it's just a little hard to sync up our times, but no worries. We're still going to do that conchomancy reading, and I got a few other readings to do I'm excited about. Okay, so I picked our theme card, and then I'm going to pull 3 cards from here from the Antique Anatomy. I'm like, just making sure you guys could see all the action back there. We did have a bunny that was running around earlier. He's gotten real, or she's gotten really used to it. She just, as soon as she sees us, she comes running right up to us, seeing if we have any treats for her. I don't know if that's a good thing. All the wild animals seem to just I think that they think we're part of the wild now, which is great. I don't mind it. Okay, so our theme for this upcoming week is beauty. All right, so let's tap into that theme. Let's see. Mm, it feels like this week, energetically speaking, we have a real opportunity to just honor the divine and the frequency of love that is us. Like that's what makes up our essence. Um, And even though, what was also coming up is that people have mentioned before that we need to move into love to get out of, like, let's say, a negative polarity. But the way I see the actual frequency of love and not so much an emotion or being in love with someone, but more just its frequency. And the frequency of love has both shadow and light. That means if source energy is the frequency of love and everything is source, that would mean everything. That's negative polarities, positive polarities, neutral polarities. And if we look at all facets of that love, we can be more willing to understand them instead of to shy away from maybe some of the darker aspects of love or the shadowy aspects from it. And when we shy away from it or we become scared of it, then we don't understand it very well, and we are more easily manipulated by the things that we don't understand. But if we can look and accept that the darker halves of ourselves or the negative polarity or shadow aspect or whatever you want to call it is also a frequency of love and look at it through that loving heart, and we try to understand it, then we could see how we can heal but more aspects of ourselves, which thus is a beautiful act because it's an acceptance of all parts of you, not just the parts that are shiny or just the parts that we choose to show other people, but the actual all of us as a whole. And it's in that whole acceptance that we have more clarity, and we have more power, more of our sovereignty in healing those other aspects. So I do see this beauty, this week. This it really is beautiful, I think, um, really looking inwards, reflecting. And although maybe there are things that we would like to change or maybe we'd never do again, we've learned the lesson and there's beauty in that too. And there's healing as well. So, yeah, I think that the energy, it seems very soft though. I don't feel like that, usually sometimes when we're made to do some mega self reflection, it's like a tower moment. But I'm not feeling tower energy. It's more of a, not even a Six of Swords energy. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's more judgment card. It's an awakening, but to me it feels more gentle, more pure, more divine. Definitely tapping into your own divinity. So yeah. Okay. Okay. I can dig it for this week. Let's see what you guys got. So I know Susie said that the star card had jumped out for her. Um, and just said Geminis are the best. They have such amazing energies and are just some of the most fun humans you could ever meet. Well, I might be biased, but yeah. Well, I think all the signs got something fun going on. Susie says on the bottom of the deck, she got the Two of Cups. Peg said, right. And if they are not at the best, give them a minute. They will switch it around. They're so loving. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to give me a moment. Like it's tears 1 minute, and then we're like, okay, what's going on now? Susie said, beautiful message. Lisa said, the world card with a Maori legend representing a positive, victorious conclusion to a great journey, leading to another journey to come. Beautiful. So yeah, it's definitely some sort of loving transformational inward journey this week. But like I said, it has a just a softer feel to it. And I mean, after all the energy some of us have been feeling lately, a nice softer energy is a welcome reprieve. So, okay, actually, let me get some water before I show you guys the next three cards. Okay. Oh yeah, baby. Oh, water is the good stuff. All right, Susan said, feeling this vibe. All right, so we have the high priestess. Oh shit. um, I said it was more like judgment. I have the judgment card. These were turned face down, by the way. I'm just now looking at them. So, and then we have the Ace of Pentacles or One of Earth. Okay, let's dive into this one. That's interesting. Okay. Um, Judgment card. All right. Okay. Okay. So the message is, for this week, if we do take the time this week to go inwards, to look into some of those more neglected parts of ourselves or the parts that we're like, that's not really my jam. It's still a part of us. And also knowing that even when a part of us is not really our jam, that's just the opposite polarity part of yourself. And if it was your jam, then obviously you would be that opposite polarity, and it would be probably the positive polarity that wouldn't be your jam. And it's no judgment there. I mean, everybody just embrace the polarity that you are, I say, because it helps us all in the end. Um, but I digress. So as we go into this energy, if you decide to honor it, if you decide to go inwards and at least take a look at and try to work on this journey of acceptance of the self as a whole, you will begin it will almost seem instantaneously, not like you have to wait till next year or next month or next week, but almost instantaneously, your world around you begins to change. Because when we start to look at ourself as a whole, like I'm not just positive polarity, but I'm all things, and everything around me is just a reflection of the parts that I am. If I can accept those parts within me, then it's more, I would say, less tribulation and less conflict with what I would normally see as a shadow aspect of myself, if that makes sense. So there's a um, let's say I had anger issues and I have a really shadowy anger aspect of myself. But also in my 3D reality, I tend to run into people who also have anger issues, or they haven't worked on healing that, and so that's a part of my reality to get me to see that that's something within myself that I have trouble with. However, if I were to go in that and say, you know what, I do have anger problems and I want to see where those problems are actually coming from, where is the anger stemming from? And when I look into it and I start accepting that and healing it, not accepting as in, oh wow, I see it, just live there rent free. But like I see it, but I also want to heal it. I want to do something proactive about it. Now, my 3D world, I don't see those people really anymore because it's no longer a conflict within myself. So I no longer need that conflict in my 3D. So that's what I'm trying to say. And that's what I'm trying to say about this week is that although I'm feeling a much more gentle type energy for healing this week. It's going to have a direct and immediate powerful impact in your 3D world. So, if there is a shadowy aspect of yourself that has fear around money or issues around money, money always brings worry and stress. But we accept that as a shadow aspect of ourselves, and I'm willing to look at it, I'm willing to heal it. Those money issues that I had in 3D, I'm going to start to see them start to change because I don't need that outward conflict anymore because I'm healing that inward conflict. So, this is a very powerful week, you guys. I mean, every week's a powerful week, but this is powerful in that there are many of us that are really trying to change our 3D reality. And I think that this is another huge step towards that. So, all right. Freaking Judgment, High Priestess, Ace of Pentacles. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. All right. it's going to be a beautiful week. Okay, so let's put these cards off to the side. Thank you so much, Oracle of Oddities and Antique Anatomy Tarot, for helping us out today. And we are going to get ready for story time. And you guys are going to be the ones that help me with that story time, because this story ain't going to write itself. So I do need your input. I will have a deck here as well. I have the Tarot de la Nuit. And maybe I'll pull a few cards, but really I want you guys to do the card pulling or the intuition. You know, that works for me too. Okay, sorry, just putting this deck away. All right, Tarot de la Nuit. And I'm curious to know, like, what type of story this is going to be, what's going to happen. Peg said, wowza, this will be good. I smell abundance. Oh, Susie pulled 3 of Cups for Lisa. Angela said, bless you all. I have errands to run. May your day be full of fun. May you be loved every day. Bless you. Love you all. Hugs for your day. Amen. Have a beautiful day, Angela. Susie says, bye, Angela. Thank you for coming. Lizzie said, this is beautiful news. And by the way, hello, hello. Peg said, love you, Angela. Enjoy the day. Susie says she loves story time. Peg said, this is giving me the hope I've been searching for. It gets depressing at times. I just love you all. Thanks for being here. Same here. Thank you for being here. Lizzie giving off the kiss hugs. All right. So how this is going to go. I got my deck. I like decks. And then we have our piece of paper here. I have my different colored pens because these pens are going to be different aspects of our story. So let me just show you a little quick do of the elements of the story we're going to need. A little refresher for those of you that haven't been in English class for a while. Okay, so sorry, I'm just drawing a story pyramid. Sorry, I'm just writing some fall. Characters. Oh, maybe the okay, maybe a protagonist and an antagonist. Okay. Here we go. Elements of a story. So these are the cards that we're going to need to pull today, which you guys are going to help me out with. So first of all, we're going to have to figure out what type of conflict is this? Is this, person against person? Is this person versus self? Is this person versus nature? Is this person versus universe? Person versus society? Like what type of conflict are we looking at here? And then we'll have to figure out what within that conflict, like what's the actual action? What are the conflicts there? And then we're going to need some characters. So you guys are going to help me out with characters. We'll need a protagonist and perhaps an antagonist. The antagonist can be an actual person, but it depends on the conflict. If it's person versus self, then the antagonist is actually within or versus nature, whatever it may be. So we'll do that. We need a setting. We'll need some rising action, a climax. We'll need a falling action, and then the resolution. So this should be a fun little story. And so for all these different parts, I'll try to use a different color. So we have purple here, blue, red. I think this still has yellow in it, and this still has some like magenta or something. Can't wait to use my turquoise. Alrighty. Okay. Ooh. I'm so excited. Let's go here. Hey, John is here. Hey, John. John says a conflict of interest, perhaps. Peg said, on another note, I tried to watch the channeling of Atlantis 3 or 4 times yesterday and it would just spin. It is a goal to get to see it today. It must really be good. Really? You know, we've been having a real trouble with like, we'll make a reel on Instagram, let's say, and then we go to share that reel to a story, it won't share. So I had to delete Instagram, reinstall it yesterday. It was a whole thing. It still isn't quite working right. And it's probably, as I tapped into it, because a lot of the social media is controlled by AI, it is 4D technology. And so we may think that it's just reading what's in our phones, but it's reading you, it's reading your energy. And if your energy at the time is not in alignment with the algorithm or the AI, or the message that's coming across, then you're going to run into conflicts, and that's on purpose. Speaking of conflict, maybe person versus technology. But yeah, so it's meant to get us discouraged so that we just give up. So we decide, oh, I guess I didn't need to watch that, or I didn't need to make that, or I didn't need to share that. And that just gives me more oomph. And James as well, like, the more you tell us we can't do something, that I can't watch something or learn something, the more I'm going to do it, you know? You're only adding fuel to the fire. Lisa says, I drew a warrior princess, Masi legend, Yananga. Is her father's greatest warrior as she seeks her own path for recognition of her deeds. Ooh. John saying, hi, hi. Peg says, ooh, quantum entanglement. Lisa got the Six of Wands. Peg says, I totally agree with that. Not giving up, though. Yep, yep, yep. We will never surrender. All right. Okay. Here we go. One more thing before I forget. There were a lot of birthdays going on this past week, this upcoming week, and the week after. So we're going to do a big happy birthday to all you Geminis, and then we will go into our story. All right. Here we go. I'd blow on the bone horn, but it doesn't work so well. All right, here we go. A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to all our Geminis. Happy birthday to you. Boop, 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 be doop. All right, all the Geminis, happy birthday, your sons and daughters, grandmas, grandpas, friends, tias, tios. May you all have a wonderful birthday this month. All right. Okay. John said, oh no, now the algorithm knows. Oh yes, it's always known. Okay. Let's see. What pen do I want to use? Let's go into setting. Okay, I'm going to use the red pen for setting. Okay. If somebody would like to just pull us a card for the setting, so you could be using tarot, you could be using oracle, you can use your runes if you wish, but I'll write down whatever the card or the rune or the was, and yeah, and so I'll take a bunch of notes. Once we have all the notes and all the cards, I'm going to put them together in my very crazy Gemini brain, and I'm going to create a story for you guys. All right. Nancy's saying happy birthday. Susie said, we love you. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you. All right. Okay, we'll put that there. You can just hang out there like a good little pen. Yes. Okay. So Liesel has the Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups it is. So that is our setting, you guys. Queen of Cups. All right. I need another card pulled. Actually, I need a few cards pulled. So maybe 3, maybe 4 cards for the rising action. So let's do Queen of Cups here. Queen of Cups. Man, this pen writes nice. I like it. Okay. Susie said, cool. All right. So we got our Queen of Cups in our setting. All right. Susie has the 4 of Wands for rising action. Okay, so we'll do that for our first rising action. Let's do a few rising actions. So we'll do 4 of Wands. Okay. Go ahead, keep slanging those cards, you guys. Man, this pen is juicy. I like it. I got the double broad at this moment. It's freaking awesome. Okay. All right. Okay, so we need 3 more cards for rising action. So if anybody would like to pull those, I could also pull a card if you wish. Actually, I'll pull one card too. So let's see, what else do we have for rising action? We have the Knight of Pentacles. All right, so we'll add that to our Dealy Bob here. Knight of Pentacles. Okay. Lily is here. She says, Grand Rising all. Hello. All right, Peg has the 9 of Swords. Ooh, 9 of Swords. Okay. Excellent. All right, one more rising action. Ooh, Nancy got 3 of Pentacles. I love it. Okay, I'm going to need a climax. Yes, I need a climax for this story. So if anybody would like to pull a card for the climax, so far these are our cards. But what do they mean? We'll find out. So like I said, you guys could use tarot, you could use oracle, you could use runes. It's all good in the hood. All right. Oops. Did I smudge that ink? Well, it's just very wet, this ink. All right. So Peg has the 8 of Cups for our climax. Interesting. 8 of Cups. You got it. All right. Let's pull 3 cards for our falling action. So Susie has the Magician. All right, let's write down the Magician. Okay, and I need 2 more cards for our falling action. So we have Magician. All right, Nancy has the King of Wands. A lot of court cards. King of Wands. Okay. And Susie's like, great story. I know. It's got a lot of people in it. That's interesting. Okay, so one more. Oh, King of Cups. All right, so falling action, King of Cups. Interesting, because the setting is Queen of Cups. King of Cups. Okay. All right, and then we're going to need a resolution. So if somebody would like to pull a card on our resolution to this story, you can use the wonderful red Twisby here. And get a drink of water in the meantime. Oh, yes. Delightful. Okay. All right. So, and then what we'll need after that, we'll need a conflict, some characters, protagonist and antagonist. All right. So Lily has the 10 of Pentacles for resolution. Pentacles. Excellent. All right. Let's get to our characters and conflict. All right, I need a conflict card, you guys. Pull me a conflict. Give me some problems. I suppose I could also pull 2. Actually, I think I want to pull a card for the protagonist. Oh, Queen of Wands for Nancy for conflict. So Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands. Okay. All right. I will pull a card for the protagonist. If you guys want to pull some cards for some characters, we'll just throw in some characters. Maybe three or so. Three characters. I think that would be enough. Try to keep the story simple enough because it's going to be coming out of my brain. So, okay. All right. For the protagonist, I got the Magician. Okay, so some other characters, we have a Page of Wands, we have a Knight of Wands. Thank you, Lizzie and Lily. Okay, so Magician. And then we have Page of Wands and Knight of Swords and Emperor. Knight of Swords and the Emperor. Okay. And John said interference Toth deck. Lisa says Four of Wands. All right, Lisa, we're going to use your Four of Wands and Nancy's Lovers as the antagonist. So Four of Wands and Lovers. All right. Okay. I think we got it, you guys. So let's take a look-ski here. Like I said, I try to put them in different colors for everybody. Okay. Our setting is going to be Queen of Cups, so I'll have to think about that. Our rising action, we have Four of Wands, Knight of Pentacles, Nine of Swords, Three of Pentacles. The climax is the Eight of Cups. Our falling action, we have the Magician, the King of Wands, and the King of Cups. So we got a couple people in that falling action. Our resolution is the Ten of Pentacles. Our conflict is going to be, I believe, person versus person, so or character versus character. Queen of Wands. Our characters are going to be the Page of Wands, the Knight of Swords, and an Emperor. Our protagonist is the Magician, and our antagonist is the Lover's card mixed in with some Four of Wands energy. So, dude, this is going to be so much fun. Oh my gosh. I love making up stories. Okay, this is gonna be a fun little challenge. Okay, and I might go slow because I'm gonna be making it off my head like as we go. Oh, Lily also got the Four of Wands and the Five of Wands. So there's gonna be a lot of Wands energy in this story. Susie said, thank you all for helping. Yes, thank you. So I'm just gonna put a little note to myself that this is Wands energy. Okay. Let me do a little, give me a moment to brainstorm real quick, just looking at all the information that I have in front of myself here. So here we go. Let me go into this and let me ask my muse, the higher self, like, you're better at storytelling than I am. Help me out here, dude. Oh, the emperor is a nature spirit. What the heck? That's awesome. Thanks, higher self. Nature spirit. The Page of Wands and the Knight of Swords are actually going to be siblings. These are young children. One is 8 and the other is 11. So the boy's name is John. John, I'm stealing your name, by the way. We'll have the girl be the older one. She'll be the 11-year-old. We'll make her Sophia. Okay. The conflict is with their mother. And her, we'll just call her mom. Okay, so she's mom. So the protagonist, the magician, is actually going to be the two children. They're both the protagonist. So put the two kids. The antagonist, the Four of Wands, the Lover's card, or sorry, the conflict is with the mom, but the antagonist, let's see. The antagonist is with a teacher. Okay. So this is at their elementary school. So it's a teacher at the elementary school. Okay, so the Queen of Cups, the setting then begins at home, but then we go to school, and then eventually we're going to wind up in the forest. So, okay, okay, all right. Um, okay, the rising action. Four Pentacles. Okay, Knight of Pentacles is going to be a friend they run into. Nine of Swords, that's when we're having issues with the mom and the teacher and all of that. Oh, so they're going to have to do a huge release. Ah, hold on. Release. Be on person. Okay, falling action. We had Magician, the King of Wands, and the King of Cups. So this would be the father is going to be the King of Cups. Um, the King of Wands is the boy's future self. So this is John's future self. Wow, that's going to be crazy. Whoa. Okay. 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 Let me show you guys my notes. Okay. So we're going to be having conflict with the Queen of Wands, who is actually going to be the mother in the story. She has two kids. She has John and Sophia. John is 8 years old, and Sophia is 11. There's a nature spirit that they're going to eventually run into, and that's going to be an Emperor card there. The protagonist is actually the two children that are on this journey. They are the magicians in this journey. The antagonist of the story at first starts with the teacher, and you'll see how it kind of correlates to the mother later on. But yeah, we're going to start at the home. Eventually, the kids are going to go to school, and then we're in the forest. But for rising action, well, we have some cards there: Four of Wands, Nine of Pentacles, Nine of Swords, and Three of Pentacles. So that should be fun. The Eight of Cups, I feel, is going to be a great release for the two kids. They're going to have kind of this aha moment. And we'll get to that part of the story. The falling action, we have the Magician, the King of Wands, which is going to be John's future self, and you'll see where I'm going to be going with that. The King of Cups is going to be their father in the story. They don't really have beef with dad, but they have a little beef with mom, and we'll see why. The resolution will be the Ten of Pentacles, but for the most part, there's going to be a lot of wands energy in here, so perhaps a lot of action oriented energy. Okay, are we ready? Ready for a little story time? Um, let's see, let's go back here. John says water and Wanna sounds steamy. Lily says, I just popped in and already am having a great time, like always. Peg says, Lily, good to see you. John says, it's a good name, honestly. Susie said, John is a classic. And Lizzie's saying, this is a great story so far. Okay. 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 Let me channel my muse. So we're not really channeling anybody directly, obviously, but when you are trying to create something, whether you're creating a story or an art project or something, you're tapping into your higher self. You're tapping into the muse, and technically, you are channeling the energy. Your vessel becomes just basically the vessel for energy to flow through to create something. So that's what I want to do. I just want to channel my higher self and be like, "Can you tell us a story?" Based on all the information that my ego is kind of put together for us and that we've pulled cards for. Okay, let's tap into John and Sophia. Okay, I don't know why I feel like this story needs to take place in Seattle, Washington. Like, I've never been to Seattle, Washington, but we're going with it. I mean, I've had friends who've lived in Seattle, so technically, I've seen pictures, I've heard about it, so we'll just go off of that for our story. Okay, so our story takes place in Seattle, Washington. And as our story opens, we are taken to the breakfast table. We are on Highland Street in Seattle, Washington. And John has just come out to meet his sister Sophia at the kitchen table because their mom, Mrs. Jenkins, has created their breakfast for them as they get ready for school. Mrs. Jenkins is pretty old school when it comes to her kids, though. Her mom had a pretty old school way of doing things. Her mother had a pretty old school way of doing things. So in her mind, like the perfect morning ritual is to call the kids to get up. She likes to, cook them a little breakfast. Sometimes she asks them if they want, eggs or if they want pancakes, they want waffles. She wants to make sure that her children are fed right, that they're ready for the day, and that they're fueled properly so their brains can work for school. And for her, this is like the ideal life. This is perfect. This is the ultimate, the epitome of being a mother is to make sure that either breakfast is on the table or that everything is just ready for her children to go off to school. So she has their backpacks all ready for them. They're by the door. Um, and as John makes his way out to the table, he's groaning because he's like, every day we do the exact same thing. He's like, I know my mom means well because she, obviously puts a lot of effort into our mornings, but I feel like she's she's like a cartoon character. I watch this when I watch the Jetsons or when I watch the Flintstones, that there's always, the mom, she has her role and she's always making breakfast and she's always making dinner. But he's like, I really truly know my mom, and standing around in the kitchen just making others happy with like food is not really what truly makes my mother happy. I've seen my mom sewing and knitting, and she is so good at it. I wonder why she spends all her time just trying to make sure that we're happy. How am I supposed to learn how to be happy myself if my mom's not doing the things that make her happy? But John keeps these thoughts to himself, and he's rather mature for an 8-year-old, but he has this gift to that he just likes tapping into the energy around him. He doesn't even realize that he's tapping into energies around him. He's not even realizing that he's empathic or that he's tapping into the energy of anybody around him. But he just has this feeling that his mom isn't entirely happy, even though Mrs. Jenkins believes that this is what makes her happy, is doing the program things of what being a mother is all about. So John says nothing as he bounds over to the breakfast table, and he's quiet as usual in the morning. And Mom has decided to make breakfast again fun looking. So they are having oatmeal this morning, and she's used little raisins to make a little happy smiley face, and she's used a slice of a strawberry to make two little eyes. So John has a very happy face waiting for him as he digs into his oatmeal, getting ready for school. And Sophia, late as usual to the table because she was lost in her music, as she normally is. As soon as she gets up in the morning, she's playing her music, and she kind of goes off into another world. She feels like this world that she lives in is just so unmagical. It's full of rules and what you can and cannot do. It's going to school, it's doing homework, it's doing your chores. So in her mind, she loves to escape to these beautiful places through her music. And so she has a whole lot of CDs, but she also has records as well as MP3s, on her phone. But she likes listening to different modalities of music and also the different ways that music could play. So she also does have a quite the extensive tape collection, cassette tape collection. And so, after she finishes listening up to some of her songs, she decides to make her way to the kitchen table as well. Uh, Lily says, "Not the Jetsons and Flintstones. My kids don't know who they are." The cartoons. So, so Sophia makes her way to the table, and as she's sitting there and staring at her happy face and her oatmeal, she looks across at her brother, and it was just this mutual understanding of like, we can't do this anymore. Like, we need to say something to mom. Because, and it's just hard. Like, what do you say to your mother? Hey, we don't like that you dote over us. We don't like that you make us breakfast every morning. We don't like that you clean up the house and that you're always making sure that we have everything we need for school, that you're always helping us with our homework. Like, what do we say to our mother? And so her and John just have this eye to eye look. And then John slowly looks back at mom, looks back at Sophia, and then he leans over to Sophia. He's like, "Hey, um, I know that we've never done this before, but what if we ditch school today?" And Sophia's like, she leans across too as she pours herself a glass of orange juice. She's like, "Isn't the school going to call mom and let her know that we've ditched?" And John says, "Yeah, but if you think about it, um, when was the last time we got in trouble? And how bad was it when we got in trouble? I mean, what can our mom do to us really? What could dad do to us really?" I mean, the worst we could get is grounded, probably for the rest of our lives. But we could go on a great adventure and it could be worth it. And Sophia's like, "I see where you're going with this, and I'm all for it." And she's like, "Okay, so what we're gonna do is okay." She's like, "Let's talk about it on our way out the door." John's like, "Got it." So they continue up their breakfast. They say goodbye to mom, give her a kiss on the cheek. "Thank you so much." She's wishing them a great day at school. "I hope you two have a wonderful day." And she says, "John, I'm I'm going to get a call from your teacher if there's any more shenanigans. No more paper airplanes. I honestly, aren't you too old for paper airplanes in class?" John's like, "I don't know. How else am I going to get a message to my friends? My teacher said no talking in class." But her and her brother have some planning to do about their game of hooky during school today. So they're walking along, and like we said, Sophia is going sans music today, sans headphones. And so as they're walking along, Sophia happened to look off into there's like a little creek that runs alongside the sidewalk. They're not too far from kind of like a forested area, and she could have sworn that she saw a flashing light. And she said, "Hey, John, do you see that?" Looks over. "See what?" She says, "It looked like flashing in the bushes right near the creek. Did you see that?" And he's like, "Could have been a firefly." She says, "Well, it's a little early in the year for fireflies, and we don't really get too many over here. Are you sure?" John's like, "Well, I mean, never mind that. We have to talk about what are we doing on our game of hooky today." And so Sophia ignores the little light she saw, but she could swear that she still keeps seeing like a little glimmer of light out of the corner of her eye, but she decides it's just either a firefly or a figment of her imagination. And she says, "Right, well, okay." as the older child of this group, and since, well, if anything ever happens to mom, I become the mom, and therefore you have to listen to me, which you should listen to me regardless. Anyway, so I say we check into class today. We'll be there on time. And just as we get into our first lesson today, I would say at 8:30, go to the bathroom. Okay? Get a hall pass to the bathroom. I will meet you at the lower playground bathroom. Okay? And John's like, 8:30. 8:30. All right. I think we're supposed to be practicing our handwriting today. So, yeah, no big deal. I think I can get to the bathroom. All right. I'll meet you in the bathroom, Sophia says. So it was kind of an uneventful walk to the rest of school that during that walk, as there was everything was planned and the table was set for these two kids to play a little hooky in school today. So anyway, moving forward, we move into Sophia's classroom, and it seems like the time is just taking forever. The teacher, all you can hear, it sounds like the Peanuts, like wah, 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 wah. Sophia has no idea what her teacher's talking about today. They got a worksheet, but since she wasn't paying attention, she has no idea how to do this particular worksheet that they're going on about. But it seems like they're learning about something about the Underground Railroad, something railroad. Then she was thinking about how would a train run underground, unless it was like a subway. Did they have subways back then? When was the Underground Railroad? So Sophia being lost in thought, and then she remembers as she gets a little too lost. Now it's 8:15. 8:15. Oh my gosh, will the time go any faster? She wants to be able to get to wherever it is they're going to get to. Then she realized, what were we going to do today? Okay, wait. So we were supposed to meet at the bathroom, but then where are we going? Well, we can't be out where any adults are going to find us because they're just going to turn us in and make us go back to school. And then we're going to get in really big trouble with our parents. So, that was quite the conundrum. What do we do? But perhaps John has a suggestion. But all she knows is that they need to do something different today. They need to have an adventure. They need to get into trouble. They need to stop being good kids. She was tired of being called Miss Goody Two Shoes. She says, everybody always thinks I'm like teacher's pet. And I hate that. I hate being called teacher's pet. So as she's thinking all these things, she looks back at the clock and, oh, shoot, it's 8:29. Hey. And just then, Eduardo, who's one of her classmates, leans over and he's like, hey, Sophia, could you help me on my worksheet? I wasn't really paying attention. And you know what? I gotta go pee. So I'll be right back. All right. Eduardo's like, all right. Well, hey, you weren't thinking of ditching school today, were you? And so Sophia didn't know what to say. It's like she'd been caught in the act. She's like, what makes you think that? He's like, well, the fact that you never really took anything out of your backpack. You don't even have a pencil on your desk. And you've been staring at the clock like you've been waiting for, I don't know, to hit the lottery or something. She's like, okay, Eduardo, I'm going to need you to do something for me. I'm going to need you to not tell the teacher where I am or to tell anybody else what's going on with me. Eduardo's like, can I come? And Sophia's like, no, you can't come, Eduardo. This is okay. This is what's happening. I'm meeting my brother John at the bathroom. And from there, we're going to figure out what adventure we want to go on. But you can't come, okay? It's just for me and my brother. It's just our home life is just really boring. It seems like life in general is really boring. And we know that there's so much more out there. There's got to be some sort of magic out there. And so Eduardo's like, okay, well, your secret's safe with me as long as I get to come. If I don't get to come, Miss Higginbothams is going to know about it. That's right. So if you don't want me to make this announcement for the whole entire school and the principal and campus crossing guard, everybody, then you're going to take me on your little adventure. Because to tell you the truth, my mom's got me doing so many chores lately. She's like, Eduardo, you're 11 years old now. You should be doing more around the house. I can't take it anymore. Okay. He's like, I need this adventure. And so Sophia's like, it's just, okay, well, we can't both go to the bathroom at the same time. He's like, I got you covered. Here's what it is. I got asthma problems. And so I'm going to have an asthma attack. It will be mild though. And they always send me to the nurse to get my inhaler. So I could be down there. And then while I'm at the nurse, I could go to the bathroom. Okay. So that way I could go to the bathroom from the nurse. You can go to the bathroom from Miss Higginbottom's class. Sophia's like, I like how you think. This is why we're friends. Okay. So the stage has been set. Sophia, looking at the clock, she starts making like she's doing the pee-pee dance. And then she's like, Miss Higginbottoms, Miss Higginbottoms. Sophia, yes. I really have to go pee. Oh, can't this wait, Sophia? I'm almost finished with explaining our worksheet. I'll come back for clarification later. I really gotta pee though. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have an accident in class. So Miss Higginbottoms is like, well, all right, Sophia, but make sure you're back quickly because right after this worksheet, we're going to be working on ancient Egypt today. Aren't you going to like that? Oh, ancient Egypt is my fave, Miss Higginbottoms. Okay, I really have to go pee. All right, well, don't forget to take the key and the pass. All right? Okay. Sophia makes a little sly wink at Eduardo. Eduardo gives the sign, and Sophia is off to the races to the bathroom. Moments later, we have a then Miss Higginbottom's like, oh my gosh, Eduardo, are you okay? Oh my gosh, Eduardo's like, my, I'm asthma. So Eduardo's being as dramatic as possible. He's clutching his chest. He's starting to fall out of his seat. And all the other classmates are screaming in horror. They're like, oh my gosh, he's dying. Eduardo's dying. Somebody else is asking what Eduardo's doing. The whole classroom is in chaos right now. The teacher doesn't know what to do with all these kids that are just screaming and yelling. And so she immediately yells for one of the kids to run down and go grab the nurse so that somebody can come and grab Eduardo. All right, stage has been set. So far, plans are working out as they should. Cut to John, who is already on his way to the bathroom. And he's already been brainstorming what could they do. But while he was on the way, he happened to look over at the upper kids' playground, and he was noticing it. It was it? I mean, that couldn't be. It looked like a little person on the monkey bars, like a little person, no bigger than the palm of my hand, standing on the monkey bars. Nah, that's not real. He shakes his head. That's just probably a figmentation of my imagination. All right, I wonder what me and my sister are going to get into. So, anyway, he gets to the bathroom, and after a moment, he goes over and knocks on the girls' bathroom. And so Sophia opens up the door just a creak and she looks out. She's like, all right, maybe it's best you come in here. All right. And but John's like, there's more girls that go to the girls' bathroom that goes to the boys' bathroom. I think you should come into the boys' bathroom. Okay. So they both go into the boys' bathroom and they hide in one of the stalls. And, Sophia, Sophia decides to, well, not stand, but she's squatting on the toilet seat. So it only looked like there was one pair of legs in the stall. These two are very intelligent and very keen children, by the way. So Sophia says, well, John, there's been a change in plans. So, my friend Eduardo, well, he threatened to turn us in if he couldn't come on this adventure with us. John's like, are you serious? Eduardo? Uh, all right. I guess. I mean, the guy has jokes. I have to admit, he is kind of funny. All right. So Sophia says, "But where are we going?" And so they think it over for a little bit. Then John says, "Hey, you know that forest that's it's about 2 miles from our house. It's the one with the giant lake in the center. It's where all the high schoolers go to make out. You know that one?" Sophia said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, since it's daytime, the high schoolers aren't going to be there making out quite yet. At least I don't think so. And so that means that we would have the lake to ourselves. Yeah, we could just go wandering in the forest. I mean, we can't get too lost because technically we wind up on I-80 on the other side. So what do you think? Maybe we could climb some trees. Maybe we can find some good stuff. Oh, I've always thought there's got to be buried treasure somewhere in these forests. I always have to think that, like, maybe there is treasure everywhere because of all the books I've been reading. It seems like there was pirates in like every part of the world. So I'm counting on some buried treasure. I think they made a stop here in Washington. I mean, we have a port, right? Sophia's like, "You read way too many fiction books. When was there pirates in Seattle?" So, but she agreed that the forest sounded like a really cool place. Plus, she thought, well, if it's good enough for high schoolers to hang out there because they think it's pretty cool, then it's probably cool for them too. And she thought about it. Plus, it has a lake, and I wouldn't mind going for a dip in the lake. And she didn't quite bring her bathing suit, but she figured there'd be enough time in the day for her clothes to dry off in case she did jump in with clothes and all. So, anyway, they are making they're waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally they hear a on the bathroom door. And so John pokes his head out. "Hello?" Eduardo's like, "It's me, dude." "All right, come on in." So Eduardo comes into the bathroom. Eduardo's like, "So what's the plan?" And Sophia and John relate the plan to Eduardo that they're going to be going a few miles down to that huge forest that's not too far from their houses. And there's a lot of legend that surrounds this forest. It's not just a place where high schoolers like to make out, but it's also been a place where many of the local folk have reported seeing fairies and spirits where things seem to move on their own. So it seems like quite the magical forest. And that's also what intrigued Sophia and John to this forest. So they begin making their trek, but they aren't out of the clear just yet because they are still on school grounds. So, first out of the bathroom is John. And John, who, well, admittedly, he's pretty good at hiding from adults. He's pretty good at making himself unseen. So everybody's going to be following John's lead. So first, John makes his way out of the bathroom and he hides behind one of the bushes. And so from behind the bushes, he motions for Eduardo to come out. Eduardo makes his way over to the bush. They make a pass for Sophia. Oh, wait. Here comes the principal. Okay, principal has passed. Okay, come on to Sophia. Sophia is now behind the bushes, and they start making their trek off of school grounds from bush to bush, from wall to wall. They finally make their way out. And so on this walk, they're talking about all manner of things that they might find in the forest. John is hell bent on finding some buried treasure. He feels that for sure, with a forest as magical as that, the pirates had to have buried some treasure there. Eduardo is just hoping that he can finally, he's always wanted to catch a bird. And Sophia thinks that that is such a dumb idea. Like, who wants to catch a bird? Birds are meant to fly. But Eduardo's like, no, really. He says, I've always just wanted to hold a bird. I didn't ever want to keep a bird, he says, but he's always just wondered what it would be like to just hold a bird in your hands. And he says, there's one bird in particular that he has his eye on. He doesn't really know the name of it, but it has a orange and yellow belly. It has black and yellow or black and white feathers and has a black head. It makes the most beautiful music. It's a beautiful songbird, but he's never gotten more than within 20 feet of this bird. So he's hoping that perhaps on this walk, if they're really quiet, that he might finally be able to catch this beautiful golden yellow, black and white bird. Sophia, on the other hand, like she said, she just wants to hang out in the magic of it. Maybe there really will be spirits. Maybe there really will be some magic to be had, because she's not quite sure if the middle schoolers were just messing with her and telling her all sorts of stories about this forest to scare her, but she wasn't really scared, more than intrigued about this forest. So, anyway, they are moving along. They are now in this forest. And hold on, let's see what happens next. um, oh, yes. So they enter the forest, and Sophia, as happy as she is to be going on this adventure, she's feeling pretty bummed out as well. And so Eduardo and John are both asking her, what's going on? And what better time to really talk about your feelings than when you're surrounded by nature? And maybe it was the atmosphere, maybe it's the sound of the birds chirping, but she really feels like she would like to confide in how she's been feeling lately, how she's been feeling with her mom, how she's been feeling with Mrs. Higginbottom, her teacher. And so she's relaying to them that she says, everybody looks at me like I'm a goody two shoes. They call me teacher's pet all the time, but trust me, I don't want to be a teacher's pet to Mrs. Higginbottom. And I'm not trying to be a smarty pants or even a goody two shoes. I really just don't want to get in trouble. I want to make our parents happy. So that's the only reason I try to get A's or I try to do good on projects. It's not because I actually like the projects. And then Miss Higginbottom, she's always embarrassing me in front of the class. She's always making me, read my homework out and how I did things. Or, what do you think, Sophia? And she's like, it's just everybody thinks that I'm a know it all. And I'm not even the one trying to be the center of attention. So Sophia was just trying to explain all of her issue with being the one that was considered smart all the time. She says, and with that, she goes, nobody wants to have real fun with me. Everybody thinks that I'm such a stickler for having my nose in a book that I don't know how to party. Like, I don't know how to have fun or how to get in trouble. And so John agrees. He says, but he says, I've never really had that problem since I seem to get in trouble rather easily in my class. But for John, it's more that he talks too much in class, is what gets him in trouble. John has a wicked sense of humor, and he loves to heckle whoever is the head of the classroom, which in this case is mostly always his teacher, Mr. Robinson. So Mr. Robinson tends to be the butt of all of John's jokes and, well, anybody else that he feels. But John's never been malicious in his joking. He loves to make fun of himself just as much as he loves to make fun of other people. And really, it's just to get a good laugh. There's no meanness in any of his joking. But he's saying, yeah, I do understand. School and our teachers, I guess they can be quite hard. And then Sophia was starting to ask, well, um, have you noticed that Mrs. Higginbottom, actually, Mr. Robinson, if you think about your teacher, they're kind of like mom, right? And so Eduardo was thinking about this as well. And he's been looking at this conversation between the two siblings. And Eduardo, he's pretty insightful for an 11-year-old. And he's like, Sophia, this is what I'm thinking. Maybe the reason you two have issues with your parents, like maybe your mom being a little too perfect. And by the way, when your mom makes cupcakes, those are so delicious. Like, oh my gosh. But he's saying, um, maybe it's that she's been put into a role that you think is boring, and maybe you're afraid like that you're going to turn out like that too, where your whole life is just like maybe making dinners and breakfasts and helping your kids with homework and stuff like that, that you won't be able to do cool magical things anymore. It could be like that. And so maybe that's why you see like Mrs. Higginbottom is like sometimes the enemy, that she's always pulling out that you do this and you do that, you so well. But I think maybe you're afraid of becoming too perfect, like your mom. And as John was thinking on this, he says, you're right. Yeah. I mean, it's difficult with our parents because, you want to make them happy. I don't want my mom to be mad at me. I don't want our dad to be mad at me. I want to do good. But at the same time, I don't want to turn out like their lives because they're kind of boring. Adults are kind of boring in general. I don't think I ever want to grow up to be like that. I want to be me. And I don't want to stop being me. I think I'm funny. Sophia's like, all right, Mr. Comedian. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. So they think about it and about what Eduardo was saying. And they say, you're right. It could be that our real problem is really just with what our mom, her energy is, I guess, more than an issue with our mom or an issue with our teachers. Right, right, right. And so the three of them decide to lay down on the grass in the sun, feel the sun on their faces. They have their arms stretched behind their heads as they're just soaking in the beautiful day, listening to the birds chirping. They can hear the hummingbirds whizzing past their heads, the bees flying around, flies everywhere. When all of a sudden they hear a psst, psst. John, Sophia quickly are jolted. Eduardo looks around too. Eduardo's like, hey, did you hear that? They look around. We're alone, right? Yeah. So they decide, it's probably nothing. And they go back to enjoying the sunshine, laying in the grass. And again, they hear, psst, psst. Eduardo's like, okay, okay, now I'm starting to get a little freaked out. And so then Sophia and John are like, yeah, you're telling me. Sophia's like, I heard so many stories. So this one kid, they go to the middle school, right? And they said that they saw Bloody Mary out here. And so John's like, Bloody Mary? She's not real. But I bet pirates are. You think there's still pirates out here? So then Eduardo's like, I don't know who's out here, but there's somebody out here. Maybe we should go over to the picnic tables just so we have like a good view of the whole forest. We could see anybody who's coming because anybody could be hiding behind these trees or anything. John figures that's a good idea, hiding behind a tree. Pirates would never go behind trees. Sophia is convinced that Bloody Mary is in the forest. So they all decide to go sit at the picnic table. They're just kind of waiting, looking around, trying to be as quiet as possible, seeing if they can hear that noise. When all of a sudden, they hear another sound. Eduardo's like, hey, do you hear that? The other two nod their heads. Where is it coming from, though? They realize it sounds like it's coming from inside the tree right behind them. Oh my gosh, the three leap up almost in a yelp. Oh my gosh. So the three of them are all huddled together. They're staring at this tree and they're like, John said, hello? They wait for the answer, but still all they hear is, and it's getting louder. What do you think it is? Sophia said, do you think it's Bloody Mary? John said, don't be ridiculous. It's a pirate stuck in a tree. And Eduardo said, no, you guys. I heard about this before. It's tree people. I think it's a tree guy. I think he's trying to communicate with us. So the three kids stand there with their wild imaginations, staring at this tree. And the banging is just getting louder and louder. When all of a sudden, and before they know it, it's like they can't even describe it. It seemed like a door was forming within this tree. It started to hollow from the inside out. And now the three children are staring at this tree in disbelief. They know that that door wasn't there before. They can't even fathom how this door even formed, but it appears awfully dark inside this tree. And the next thing they hear is, psst, psst. Now, all three children are so terrified they can barely move. The fight or flight instinct is frozen in time as all three kids stare into this doorway. Sophia motions for her brother's hand, and now they are holding hands. Eduardo kind of looks over at Sophia, decides to hold her hand, but then a sly smile comes out of Eduardo's face. And Sophia realizes, oh, Eduardo just wanted to hold my hand. Anyway, three kids are still staring at this tree. And then it seemed like a human voice coming from inside the tree said, "Hey, down here. Hey, down here." The kids look down. It's it's a what is that? It's a little person. John says, "Oh my gosh, I saw something just like that when I was on my way to the bathroom. I saw him on the monkey bars, and I thought it was, oh my gosh, is that real? Do you think it's a demon? Do you think he's a leprechaun? Will he give us wishes? Hey, are you a genie?" Sophia, looking in disbelief, and she keeps rubbing her eyes, like, what? This is impossible. It's impossible. This is so impossible. Do you think Bloody Mary is shrinking people? Do you think, oh my gosh, are you a victim of Bloody Mary? Did she shrink you? Eduardo just doesn't know what to say. He's like, oh mío Dios. Wow. I think my mom has talked about these people before. We have them in Mexico. They're like little espíritus. They guard sacred places. So Sophia and John look over. Are you sure? Eduardo's like, uh-huh. My mom's told me all about these little espíritus. Sometimes they're bad, but some of them are good. We got to figure out which one this one is. So the little person down there is like, I can hear you. I'm not a bad spirit at all. In fact, I'm not a spirit. I am just a guardian of the forest. What are you doing here in my forest? John and Sophia and Eduardo now are in total disbelief. They don't know what to make of this. So once they get past the fright, I should say, the three kids decide to sit down with this spirit or nature person or small person. They really don't know what to make of him, but they realize that if he were meaning to do some harm, he probably would have done harm already. So they sit down and they listen to this little man talk about who he is. He says, my name is Xavier, and I am one of the guardians of this forest. And it's very interesting that you can see me because usually when children grow up to be a particular age, they don't see us so much anymore. Do you see the doorway in this tree? All three kids shake their heads yes. Good. If you can see the doorway, then you can enter through the doorway. Come back with me. Come and meet my community. So all three kids decide, is this the adventure we've been looking for? John clears his throat, deciding he doesn't want to look like he's too scared. He needs to appear in control. So he clears his throat. Xavier, if we go to your community, can we come back? Xavier says, well, sure. At any time, if you can come back through the tree. John says, oh, well, are there pirates where you live? Xavier says, pirates? Well, piracy is the farthest thing from what we do here. John says, oh, okay. Sophia was pretty sure that there was no Bloody Mary going on in this tree house forest doorway thing with this little person. So she feels confident that maybe it would be okay to go in. So Sophia begins to get up. So John and Eduardo follow suit. And they decide that they are going to follow this leprechaun or nature spirit or little person into the tree. So they go inside the tree. And they are met by what appears to be first total blackness, but that total blackness comes to what appears to be a light so bright it's blinding. And once they get past that blinding light, it's like a beautiful community of little people. And they feel like giants in this little people community, which they are. But everybody seems to be working diligently on things, arranging the colors of the mushrooms and the flowers. Some of them are creating elixirs and nectar for all the animals that drink of this nectar. There are a lot of butterflies that seem to be at work, working alongside these little people. It is definitely like something out of a fairy tale. And after a good long while of the kids getting acclimated to this place, they end up making quite a few friends. And so Sophia decides to go lean against a much smaller tree in this little forest that they are in, as they're in a forest within a tree. And um, Xavier comes over. He says, "Hey, what's the problem?" And Sophia was just talking about how, as beautiful as this adventure has been, meeting basically fairy folk and forest guardians and, learning about communities inside of trees, inside of trees, inside of trees, and how amazing all this is and how magical and how wonderful it would be to stay here. But she says, "This is not my world, really. And I wish that I could talk about this with my mom and my dad. I wish I could talk about this in school without getting made fun of, or it's just I wish I had this magic where I come from." And Xavier says, "You do. You always have this magic, no matter where you are. You just have to be willing to open your eyes to it. The only reason adults don't normally see this, normally I say, but there are some who do, but some adults don't normally see this little magical forest or see us or see these doorways, is because they've forgotten who they really are. They become programmed into something that they're not. And I have a feeling that's why you came to us today. What's on your mind, little Sophia?" Sophia said, "Well, it's something I was talking about with my friend Eduardo and my brother, that I love my mother and father dearly, but I'm going to be in middle school in a couple of years. And I feel like that's where you start to get big. That's where you start to grow up. And I'm afraid that if I grow up, I'm going to be just like my mom and just like my dad, where my whole life is just in the kitchen or going to work or making sure that my kids' homework is complete. Like, where's the magic in that? Where's the creativity? My mom is a really good seamstress. She's really good at crochet and knitting, and she doesn't do that anymore. She did that when I was really young, before John was born, but she doesn't do that anymore. And I'm afraid that that's going to be me too." And so Xavier says, "Ah, I see. Well, there's someone I think you should meet." And Sophia said, "Well, I'm not going anywhere without my brother and my friend." And Xavier says, "Well, no, no, yep. I hear you." He says, "But I think the three of you are going to like who I'm going to show you." So he leads them to what appeared to be a ginormous mushroom in the center of their little community. A mushroom actually much larger than the size of a normal mushroom. And it's the only thing that would be considered gigantic in this realm of the tiny. And so all three kids are standing around this mushroom, and this mushroom comes up to about their chest. So it's pretty big mushroom. And Xavier leans over and says, "Whenever we're having trouble with listening to what the within is, with listening to our hearts, with sometimes we forget who we really are. We come to Mamacita." That's right. We call her Mamacita, but she's quite magical, and it's something that was created because of our energy. And Sophia was saying, "So you guys built this?" "No, no, no," says Xavier. "She just kind of became because we needed her. And so here she sits whenever we do need her." And so John was so excited. He says, "What do you do with Mamacita?" He said, "Well, what we do is you think of something that is troubling you most in your heart. When you can feel it and when you see it, you place your hands upon Mamacita and allow her to speak to you. And we guarantee that after that, you're going to feel right as rain and probably ready to go back to the realm and the world that you belong to. So Sophia decides, maybe I should go first. I mean, I am the oldest. Eduardo said, no, no, no. My birthday is a month before your birthday. Technically, that makes me the oldest in this room. Sophia agrees. Well, all right. So Eduardo goes first. Eduardo, a little nervous, he rubs his hands together, starts looking inside, really looking, trying to pinpoint something that troubles his heart, something within his heart, something that he would love to work on. Aha, he gets it. And he places his hands upon the mushroom. Sophia and John are looking on in disbelief. What is going on? Because as soon as Eduardo placed his hands upon this ginormous mushroom known as Mamacita, the whole mushroom started to vibrate. And as it started to vibrate, it started to glow. And as it started to glow, that glow started to move up Eduardo's hands, up his arms, and it seemed to be filling his whole being until Eduardo was as glowy as the mushroom itself. And it seemed to light up this whole inner forest. And it was beautiful. And as the whole inner forest started to light up, well, everything started to shine and twinkle as if it had been made of a million bazillion diamonds. The trees, the small little nature folk running around, the butterflies, the flowers, everything sparkling like diamonds. And as John and Sophia looked down at their own hands, they noticed that they too begin to sparkle. And it's beautiful. And after a moment of watching Eduardo, Eduardo starts to make some movements and he lets go. Whew! Eduardo falls back down onto the ground. It almost looks like he'd been electrified as his hair is practically on end. And as he's laying down, John and Sophia run to his aid. Are you okay, Eduardo? Eduardo says, yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You guys got to try this. Oh my gosh, he says, it was amazing. And so Sophia, tell us what happened. He goes, well, I was trying to think about what was most important inside my heart, what troubled me the most. And all I could think about was my dad, my papa. And I haven't seen him for like 3 years because he passed away and I miss him a lot. And sometimes I wonder if he's proud of me and if he sees me. And as soon as I put my hands on this mamacita, it was like my father was standing right before me. And he told me how proud he is of me. And he told me about mom. And after a while of conversation, I told him how much I missed him. And he said that he's never left me, that he's always with me. And I could feel my father come into my body. I felt my father, my papa, inside my heart. And it was like those hugs I remember he used to give me. And I always felt like I was so safe. I felt like nothing could ever hurt me because my dad was holding me. And so Eduardo wipes a couple of tears from his face and he says, I'll never miss my father ever again. I feel my dad inside my body. He's still there. And so Sophia and John look at each other. Well, our mom and dad aren't dead. What do you think that we're going to get from Mamacita? Eduardo says he doesn't know, but they should definitely try. So Eduardo was just going to take his time lying down in the little miniature grass. And that's what he did, just all spread out, arms out, legs out, with his hair almost standing on end as he lays there in the grass trying to soak in what had just happened. But he still feels like he is glowing, except now he's glowing on the inside. Well, John feels like it's his turn. So he begins to walk up to Mamacita. But then Sophia tells him to halt. And she says, perhaps we should do this together. We are brother and sister, by the way. John said, that's true. So they asked Xavier if that would be okay. And Xavier said, actually, one of the best things you can do is to hang out with Mamacita and place hands on her when you are with those that you love. And so they both look within their hearts and they think, what is troubling them the most? What is troubling them the most? And once they think they got it, again, John and now Sophia place their hands on top of Mamacita. And just then it was like a bolt of electricity, but it felt so good. And again, they could feel, even though their eyes were closed, they could feel everything lighting up around them. They could feel the energy literally making the hair on their arms stand on end. It was electrifying, goosebumps everywhere. They could feel their hair start to rise. And the wind, it felt like wind, but electrifying wind, almost wind as an energy and less as a tactile feeling. It's surrounding them and it felt so good. It felt like heaven. If there was such a place, they were thinking, if there is a place like heaven, then heaven is what it feels like right here in this swirling right now as their bodies begin to electrify and light up. And immediately we're taken into John's inner heart and what was troubling John. And John was thinking about the fact that he feels that sometimes he disappoints his parents, but at the same time, he's struggling with being himself and being the version that his parents want him to be. And the version that he is of himself, the real him, he's a character. He's a comedian. He loves to crack jokes. He loves to make people laugh. But he knows that that's not exactly his mother and father's cup of tea, as they are quite conservative. They are quiet. They're more of a book reader kind of couple than they are a outlandish and joking family. And so, in this vision John is having, John is seeing himself, and he recognizes that it's himself because the mole that he has by his eye is the same mole that this man who's standing before him has. This man who looks like he's roughly the same age as his mom and dad. And so he asks this man, "Are you me?" And the man said, "Yeah, yeah, dude, I'm you. But I'm you 25 years into the future." And John is, whoa, wow. Well, why am I talking to myself in the future? And Big John says, because, kid, I want you to see that no matter what you do, you're going to turn out all right. So that joking personality that you have is really going to come in handy someday. There's a lot of people that you end up helping just by being the jokester that you are, the comedian that you are. There's, well, I probably don't want to get into it, but you're going to go into a healing field and one where there are people who have lost hope and they've lost a sense of themselves. And it's through your comedy and your sense of humor that you bring them back into their heart space. So technically, your jokes save lives, um, but you won't know that until you're much older. So for now, I'd say don't lose the sense of humor. Don't lose your comedy, kid, because it's not only going to save you, but it's going to save a lot of people in the future. But you have to know who you're making the comedy for. You got to know what's the energy behind the comedy. And although, yeah, mom and dad never really did come around to the kind of jokes that you tell, but that's fine because you weren't meant to be mom and dad. You were meant to be John. John's like, whoa. He's feeling a little overwhelmed by the message that he just got from his own self in the future. John says, "All right, this is this is intense. Comedy doesn't kill, comedy lives. So I'm not going to be killing it, but I'm going to be living it." And John said, "Yeah, yeah, my man, you're going to be living it and you're going to help a lot of other people live it too." John was saying, "Wow, that's cool. All right. I'm looking forward to that. I have one other question, future self." Future self said, "Shoot, go ahead. What is it that you really want to know?" John thought about it. There's this girl in the classroom next to me. We share a wall. I see her out on recess. Her name's Susie, and I was just wondering, is does well, I mean, does Susie does she um does she like me? John laughed and laughed. He says, "Kid, you have the whole universe at your beck and call right now. You want to know, out of all the infinite things in this universe, you want to know if Susie Parkins likes you?" John said, "Well, yeah, she's kind of a big deal." Big John just laughed and he said, "Well, I leave that up to your present time, kid. All I can help you out is with the future. Maybe you, mm, maybe you tell Susie a joke. Uh, you've been a little too straight with her. Tell her a joke. See how she comes around." So John agrees. A joke, right? All right. Yeah, I could tell a joke. All right. So he felt pretty good about his meeting with his future self. And we fade out now to Sophia. That's right. Sophia has been in this like this time warp, this lightning. Oh my gosh, such energy. And she had been looking at what troubled her most within her heart. And that was that she was going to grow up to lead a boring life. She thought that everything that was magical in her life would disappear once she became an adult. And so, in this, Sophia was met by this ball of light. And Sophia, at first, was a little shocked that it wasn't a person, but it was a thing, a ball of light. And so, as she tried to speak to this ball, she noticed that she didn't really need to use words, but it was whatever she thought. She immediately got a response in her mind. And she was thinking to herself, wow, is this telepathy? Immediately, she got a voice in her head that said, yes, this is telepathy. Whoa! Sophie was like, "What? Who? What? Where? What are you?" She was asking of this ball of light. This ball of light said, "I'm you, Sophia." Sophia says, "But that's not possible. I'm standing right here. How are you me?" The ball of light said, "Well, Sophia, I'm your soul. So I'm the real you." Sophia had to think about this for a moment. "But if you're my soul, what are you doing outside my body?" The ball of light began to change, almost like rainbow or fluorescent like colors, as it spoke to Sophia once again. It said, "You are viewing me as outside of yourself. The fact that you can hear me inside your head proves that I am actually inside of you." Sophia is almost blown away by this. She said, "Well, if you are me, then how could you help me with my problem? Because I don't have the answers, but the ball of light said, you do have the answers, Sophia, and you've always had the answers right inside of you. It's the looking outside of you where it's harder to find those answers. You'll never find them in your mom. You'll never find them in your dad. You're never going to find them in Mrs. Higginbottom or any of your other teachers." So Sophia thinks about this for a moment. She says, "Okay, so what do I do? What do I do not to turn out boring? What do I do to not lose my magic? How do I stay the same?" The ball of light continues to speak to Sophia and says, "The point isn't about saying the same, it's just about being who you truly are. And who you truly are 1 minute might be different than who you truly are 5 minutes from now, or who you truly are 20 years from now, or even 50 years from now. Being who you truly are is just who you are in the present moment. And that's all that matters. And although people around you may suggest who you should be, your mother wants to tell you who you should be and what would be the best for you. Your father wants to tell you who you should be and what is the best for you, as well as your teachers and everybody around you. But they are not you. They're only saying what is the best course of action for themselves. And that's why they tell you to do these things. I'm not saying to not listen to your mother and father, but I am saying don't listen to the parts of them that tell you who you should be at your core. Now, if your mother says to go do the dishes, maybe you go do the dishes, but maybe you don't take up on the things that say the dishes is part of who you are, because it's not. Just like making your bed doesn't make you who you are, or helping mom out when she's making cookies doesn't make you who you are. Sophia thinks about this for a moment. She says, "You're right. But how can I help my mom and dad remember who they truly are?" Again, the ball of light begins to swirl and create colors and fluorescence, and almost like it's pinging out energy left and right. And it says, when you become who you truly are, that gives your mother and father the template to remember who they truly are. And although it may take them a good long time to see it in you, they'll eventually get it. Sophie is blown away by this. But then, just then, that ball of light that was pinging energy and glowing and full of colors and fluorescence begins to move more closely to Sophia. She begins to back up, but realizes she's up against a wall. And that ball of light is getting closer and closer until it enters her body and becomes her whole being. She feels her whole being light up. She feels electric and ecstatic and a love that like she's never felt before. It's this unconditional, she can't even put it into words. And all she feels is high, is all she could say. Like high on life. And before she knows it, she's boom, fallen back on the grass. She's trying to come to her senses. She looks over, sees that her brother is on the grass as well, and they're both breathing rather rapidly. Just then, Eduardo comes over and he's leaning over the two of them, although it seems like he's upside down as the direction that he's looking at them in. And he says, "Wow, you guys turned colors there. That was so cool. Hey, did you guys have a good time?" All Sophia and John could do were look at each other and nod their heads, yes. Once they had regained their composure and they had a little bit of that magic nectar that those forest people had been making, which was quite delicious and felt very warm in their tummies, they decided it was time to go back to their real world, having all of this information. It was time to go back to the world of the bigger people and the world of, well, not less magic, just magic that's harder to see, is what they concluded. And so they stood again at the doorway. Xavier pointed the way out and said that they were welcome back at any time and that they didn't have to come back to this particular forest, but anytime that they find a tree or perhaps even a flower, that the doorway is always there waiting for them, ready for them to enter. And the smaller folk, the nature folk, really did appreciate these three kids coming there, as they had a lot of different energy and stories to share. They appreciated John's jokes, as he had created quite the fan following. And so he had to promise that before the month was up, he was going to come back and put on a little bit of a show, or a little comedy show, for some of the child nature spirits that he found there. And so, as the kids are on their way back, they look at the time. It is now 3 o'clock, which means school would have been getting out right about now. So they're going to be walking home. And this time they're walking home just as they arrived, somewhat in silence, as they're just trying to digest what just happened. Um, and as they are walking along the sidewalk, and Eduardo's house was just a couple of houses down from John and Sophia, so they didn't have far to walk from each other. But they came across a couple of other kids that were just getting out of school, some of their friends. And they said, "Hey, John, where were you today?" John said, "Oh, I fell in the toilet. I got stuck for a while. I got stuck in the bathroom." And Sophia said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, there was an emergency. Yeah, there was an emergency in the bathroom with my friend, her eyeball fell out. I was helping her." The kids just look at them Everybody exchanging very awkward glances. Very obviously, this is a lie. And John looks over. He's like, "Your friend's eyeball came out? That's your lie?" And Sophia's like, "Shh." Eduardo is just laughing and laughing. He says, "No, no, no. Here, I'll tell you guys what happened." Okay, so no, we were on a special assignment. Mr. Ernst, our principal, well, he had this really like undercover assignment. We were supposed to be going from classroom to classroom. We were just checking on like different classrooms to make sure like everybody was doing their work. And if like if there wasn't people doing the work, we had to like turn them into the principal. That's what we were doing. And so the other kids like, whoa, wow. So you guys are like narcs now? Or Eduardo said, no, man, we were just trying to help out the principal. Like he said that we were gonna get like an ice cream treat for like the work that we're doing. So then the other kids just kind of shrug their shoulders, decide that whatever these three were up to was definitely interesting. And so they walk on, and eventually they make it home. Eduardo goes home to his mom, and John and Sophia head home to their mom and dad. Um, and after they put down their backpacks and head out into, well, they have to go through the kitchen in order to get to the living room. As usual, mom is in the kitchen. She's making some after school snacks, but she looks a little upset. And these snacks look healthy. Usually she doesn't make ultra healthy snacks unless she's upset. So they're looking at the celery and dressing snack that mom has laid out for them. And mom, without turning her back, says, John, Sophia, you sit at that table right now. Oh, they knew exactly what had happened and that the school did indeed call the house because they didn't return from their bathroom breaks. So Sophia and John sit at the table and they have this look and it's like they can read each other's minds. How are we going to tell our mother what happened? She already knows we were playing hooky, but how are they going to relay this story? And so as mom turns around and she lays down the plate of celery and dressing, she looks at the two of them and she said, Harry, I need you to come in here. It's time to talk to the kids. Their father, sharing the same very stern look about him, comes and sits down at the table. Both father and mother are now staring at John and Sophia. And John says, Dad, I think that we should tell you to what really happened today. And John's father saying that would be really good. We want to hear the truth. He says, I want to know why my two A+ students, why my two good children, why my son, why my daughter would choose to ditch school today. You tell me that. That why I worked so hard for you to ditch school. You tell me that. And their mother was silent, but she was very upset, you could tell. And so John cleared his throat. He says, Dad, Sis and I, we decided to ditch school because we wanted a change. We really appreciate how much you and mom really love us. We appreciate all the things you do for us. In fact, we feel really spoiled sometimes. You know, I appreciate that I have all the video games I could ever play with. Like I even appreciate that cool cutlass sword that you got for me so I could live out my pirate dreams. But it's not about the things that you and mom give us. We're really looking at the love that you give us, like the love that we feel. And it feels like the love you give yourself is not as much as the love that you give us. Well, now Mr. and Mrs. Jenkins are confused. Their looks of anger now have turned to looks of confusion. What was their son saying? So Sophia jumps in and she says, Mom, Dad, what my brother's trying to say is just that we don't want to grow up to be boring. Like, Dad, you are so good at sketching. You are so good at drawing. You make all these like comic strips. It's probably why John has such a great sense of humor. Like you have a good sense of humor too. You make things that were funny. I love the drawings that you used to make for me, especially when I was upset, and you make me a little cartoon to cheer me up, or draw me like in a stupid way. Like I really love those. And mom, my goodness, like you've sewed almost every article of clothing that I own. You should have your own fashion line. And you're really good at knitting and all of these things. But it's like you guys don't do those things that are so fun for you because you want to do everything for us. Like you're always worried about, what's going to be for dinner and like what kind of grades did you get in school. And although we appreciate you guys care about us and we understand that you want what's best for us, we want what's best for you too. And maybe you were like us when you guys were little kids. And John butts in again. He says, yes, I mean, Dad, he says, did you used to get in trouble a lot? I mean, we didn't even hear about you guys when you're in school. You never tell us these stories. I mean, he says, I get in trouble for talking all the time, but did you used to get in trouble for talking all the time? Did you used to get in trouble for all of your comic strips and all the cartoons that you make? He says, because if that's the case, I don't want to grow up and lose that like you did. And so now mom and dad look at each other, and after a big sigh, mom turns around and she says, you guys are growing up faster than we realized, I suppose. This is showing some real maturity on both of your parts. And I think I can speak for your father when I say that you guys speak truth. We do care about you both immensely. And although we're not too happy on you cutting school today, or even where you went, it seemed like there was a good reason behind it. And although we both don't want you playing hooky again in the future, maybe you could come to us first when you do need a break and we can call you out of school that day. I think that would be a less deceptive way of going about things. Sophia and John agreed that this would be really good. And after a little bit more chit chat, um, Dad stands up, mom stands up, and they decide it was time for a family hug. And as they're hugging, Sophia says she would like more of these in the future. It seems like the only time she gets hugs is when she does well in school. And if they could have maybe a hug in the kitchen, more hugs than maybe cooking in the kitchen, and time spent, behind a stove or, in the oven, maybe just more hugs like this. And so the family agreed that they could definitely work on that. John, of course, had to leave on a joke as he normally does. And that joke was to make a little fart joke. And so his little fart joke got everybody laughing. And he's like, oh man, who cut the cheese? And so the family laughs. They have a great time. But things weren't quite the same in the Jenkins household after that, as both son and daughter were able to bring out the inner child of mom and dad, and mom and dad were able to help the children find a nice balance within themselves with being a child and also finding maturity in this life and not forgetting the things that really lit them up inside. So, the end. All right, you guys. Woo! Interesting. So those of you that were just now jumping in or jumping in the middle of the story, that was me trying to come up with this story based on the cards that everybody pulled um, for our little story time today. So there was a conflict, there were characters, there was protagonist, antagonist. We had rising action, a climax, which was probably Mamacita's mushroom. A nice resolution, that 10 of Pentacles, the whole family coming together. So, yeah, I mean, best I could do coming up off the top of my head, but here we go. Let's see, let's go back here as I missed a ton of your comments. Oh, wow, wow, wow. So lots of happy faces. Oh, wow. I'm just going back. There was a lot of comments here. John says, I work with a couple of nurses. They're lovely beings. Peg says, I love Seattle. Lily says, not the Jetsons and Flintstones. My kids don't know who they are. John says, are you sure this is fiction? Pretty sure. I mean, I used a couple of you guys, like Susie and John, but just your names, really. Susie said, Lily, Flintstones was old when I was young, even. Lisa's like, they're bunking school. Susie said, this is profound. Cameron said, he isn't embarrassed by my astrology and spiritual studies instead of doing something I hate. That's awesome. Lily said, good old days, Susie. Now those were great cartoons. My favorite is Wilma Hockey Saki episode when Wilma karate chops Fred and the burglar. Peg said, kids were just born to be naughty at times. Susie said, it is smart to follow something I love. Beautiful. Peg said, I used to say the same thing. It will be worth the punishment. I'm in control. That's what I used to do. I used to try to gauge, is what I'm about to do going to be worth the punishment? And oftentimes it was. So I got in trouble a lot. Lily said, no talking in class. The sarcasm is real. I know, right? All right. We had some wonderful numbers coming in. Some synchronistic numbers. Lily was here. Hello. Susie loves Miss Higginbottoms. She said, we don't need no education. And she said, I'm glad I'm not in school. Lizzie said, yay, nature spirit. And Lily said, looking for One Eye Willie's bounty, the Goonies. John was wondering if it was a goldfinch or a meadowlark. This was a tanager. I was thinking of tanager since that's the color ink I just got for our tanager birds. They have the golden or like orangey yellow breast. It's very bright. They come up from Mexico, actually. They stay in Mexico in the wintertime or South America, and then they come up here in the summer. But yeah, they have black feathers with like white spots on them, and they have like a black head. At least the males do. Lily said, Sophia is me. And Lily said, wow, Edgar is so insightful. Lily said, no mirrors in the forest. People were thinking of Bigfoot. They were talking about the tree guy they ran into. Everybody loved Mamacita, the giant mushroom. Peg says, I want to sparkle. Elise is here. Hello, hello. Lisa says, this beats school. Susie said, heck yeah. Susie just pulled the Ace of Cups for somebody as well. And Elise says, what an amazing story. I so need to watch the replay. Glad I heard the end of it. We never change. Everybody throwing up the magicians for these two kids in the story. Peg says, the wishes are who you are. And Elise says, I used angels and ancestors. I got Druid, Merlin, Bast, High Priestess, and Animal Guardian. I think my goals are going to be met as I have been trying to work with Bast and Ceridwen. Says the Animal Guardian is holding a deer. Deer have been coming to me. Wow. And Sue said that she's definitely feeling those cards. The kids are the teacher. The kids are wise. Looks like everybody liked the story. Lisa says, wow, I thought this was real. I wish it worked that way. And John says, I bet this is a true story. I wish. Susie's like, we are contributing with emojis. Peg says, we were illustrating for you. Great story. Thank you. Yes, I love all the emojis. All right. Whew. Well, that was a lot of fun, you guys. I really, really appreciated that. A couple of times I was like, oh, shit. I need to stop and think about what's next. Like, I think that's the first time I've ever like really, I mean, I think I have before sort of come up with like simple stories up off the top of my head, but I started going into some really long, weird story. I was like, okay, we're just going with it, higher self. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but we're going with it. But hey, I bet if I were to go back and actually write it down and maybe like smooth it out, make it more story like, maybe nice mixture of dialogue and third person and things like that, I think it would come out okay. But I had fun. And so I hope this gives you guys inspiration to try a little something different with your deck of cards, whatever those cards may be. So maybe you're looking for a little inspo in your life. Maybe you do want to write a story. Maybe you're thinking of something to create. Maybe you want to sew something. Maybe you want to paint something and you want to use your cards for it. I think they're great inspiration for that. And also, you don't have to be writing a story as if you're an author or anything, but think about being like the author of your life. Like, what direction or what adventure do I want to go on today? Maybe, ask the cards. I want to go on a crazy spiritual adventure today, or I want to go on a 3D adventure. Ask the cards. I think it could be a lot of fun. So, yay! Thank you guys so much. This was so much fun. Thank you, all my nerdy friends out there who don't mind a little English fun. Susie's saying it was fun. Peg says you have such a unique little show here, very refreshing. So yeah, hey, I love hanging out with you guys on Sundays because I never know where we're gonna do, what we're gonna do. Slinging cards, we could channel, we tell stories, we have a good laugh. It's all good in the hood. And then Peg says you should publish. Well, hey, maybe we'll publish that story someday. Maybe, maybe. Hmm, hmm, hmm. I have some ideas. Maybe. All right. Well, we have come to the time in our little broadcast that if anybody would like me to sling some cards for them with super chats or super stickers, I would be more than happy to do so. Perhaps use my dark light oracle. Ooh, 11:22 on the clock. Nice. John said flow. Elise said yes, tarot inspired short story series. Yeah. All right. So if there's anybody who would like to do super chats or super stickers, I will pull a card for you. Any question that you got. Um, it's kind of a mixture of drawing a card, but also a little bit of channeling as I tap into energy. I love this deck, by the way. Some cards are sideways, some are upright. This is the accompanying deck to the Tarot de la Nuit. I also have the Oracle de la Nuit, but I think the Dark Light was much better. So yeah, we will use this one. Okay, so let me get some Wawa, and then we could pull some cards, and then afterwards we'll do our channeled guided meditation. Hmm. And I need to finalize tomorrow's channeling video, so I got to make the thumbnail, all that good stuff, all fun today. Lily said, "Great story." Well, thank you. You guys contributed to that story. I just had to piece it all together. So, I was trying to think of, I don't actually know a Jenkins or Higginbottom or Mr. Robinson, but I was trying to think real quick, um, what grade um, John would be in if he was 8 years old, and I think that's like third, yeah, third grade. So I was like, who was my third grade teacher? But I couldn't figure out my third grade teacher's name, but I did remember my fifth grade teacher's name. And although it wasn't Mr. Robinson, I think it was Mr. Roberts or something like that. Um, I was trying to think of like modeling that teacher after him. Miss Higginbottom was actually my sixth grade teacher, Miss LaRue. So I was kind of using her as like a guide. And then of course we know I used John's name. I used Susie's name. Susie is John's crush in the story. She is the cool girl in the classroom next door that John is so in love with. Um, yeah, and then Sophia and John. I mean, I wanted to make the girl older than the brother just because I have a little brother. So I guess, I mean, she wasn't really me, but that dynamic between the brother and the sister, I wanted to be like a dynamic between me and my brother. Um, yeah, and who knows? I think the nature spirits, well, all the inspo is way back there, in the forest. So, um, yeah, and then for Eduardo, that was actually modeled off of a friend that I had when I was in elementary school. His name was Oscar, though, and he was quite a character. He was like comic relief. Like Oscar was my best friend. So, so yeah, Eduardo is Oscar. Yeah, and Oscar, he and his parents, yeah, they were born in Mexico. So, um, let's see here. Let's go back. Lily says, Chicas is throwing up all over the place. Oh no. John says it's 1, 2, 3 over here. Oh, all right. We get to pull a card for John. I'll be happy to do so. Elise says, I got a jet, but I'll see you all next week and excited to see what's in store for all of you during the replay. Blessings. Mwah. Have a beautiful day, Elise. Um, and Susan says, glad you made it. And Lisa says, yeah, she's cool. Aw. All right. And then we're going to be pulling a card for our friend Lily, who's looking for any guidance or warnings to heed. We'll definitely love to do that. All right. So, John, if you have a question, let me know, or perhaps a general check in, or perhaps maybe how the character John connected with you. All righty. Mm-mm-mm. Just put these cards back in here. Making a little room on my little tarot table here. Okay, maybe I can scoot my chair over. Okay, there we go. That's more better. All right. So yeah, just let us know. John says, a way to connect to the solar messages being delivered to us in the solar maximum. All right. So solar message being delivered. All right, here we go. Let's tap in. Okay, so John, I was seeing, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's like, how to describe it? Like if you were walking into a room and it's full of people, and there are a few people who immediately sense your presence in the room. They turn around, they look at you. It's like their eyes like activate. It's like they're activated. Um, but what it's trying to show is that with these different solar codes that have been coming in, which as we learn through channelings that the sun basically in 3D is a doorway for everything outside of this 3D cube. It comes through it. So when we receive upgrades and codes, it's coming from outside of the cube through the portal, which is the sun, to us because it is a part of us. And so with these upgrades and these, this leveling up and your vibration shifting and changing as you've been healing and all of this, that you've hit a frequency that has made your presence known to a whole host of other beings. So that would be both positive and negative type entities. Um, but one thing I'm being shown with you is some of those um, entities are working through like regular people. So they're showing me an instance like, let's say you're just casually walking down the street and you pass somebody on the street, and that somebody on the street, all of a sudden there is an entity. Let's say it's a negative entity, a negative polarity entity taps into that person on the street. That person, perhaps not being aware of their own energy, not to mention the energy of everything around them, is unaware that now what they are thinking and what they are feeling is actually not their own thoughts and feelings, but that of a different, or not a different polarity, but an energy outside of themselves. It's almost like that person's getting programmed now, or activated to talk to you. So this person now turns around and maybe they'll say something not so nice, or they want to create a conflict with you. And you may take it as this person has come out of nowhere and they're just having conflict with me, when really it is that person being controlled by another energy. And this isn't a violation of free will, because that person had to be on of that other astral's energy in order for it to speak through them or control them in a way. And so, what your higher self is just trying to tell you is that not every person that you have a conflict with, or feel like they've said something nice, sometimes it isn't genuinely coming from the real person. Sometimes what it is that person connecting with a lower vibration at the time, trying to create conflict in order to get you off balance, in order to keep you ungrounded, in order to keep you questioning yourself, having less faith in your own intuition, things like that. It's anything to keep you off of your spiritual path. But with this leveling up and awareness, you're more aware of those things. So this is just um, I guess, to just your higher self wanting you to keep things in perspective, that sometimes when we have conflicts, it's not always genuinely from that person, but it's from energies outside of this realm that are trying to have conflict with you on purpose. They want you to feel like, you know, ungrounded, basically. Um, But the same happens with people with like positive polarity, energies. If they're on that frequency, sometimes that positive polarity or that energy speaks through them to speak to you. And sometimes that's when we feel it in our heart space. That's when we feel it in our soul. Somebody will say something that you're like, wow, that just really resonates. And it's because there was that outside energy kind of speaking through that person, because that person vibrated with that message. And so therefore they're passing on that message to you. Um, so, although this might not be like new information, your higher self is saying just to keep you aware that this is kind of what's going on in this new frequency that you're in, that you're just attracting more energies around you, because you're now at their level. So it's like going from one chapter in a book to the next chapter in a book. The next chapter has a whole new set of characters. There's a whole new thing going on. So okay, so let's pull a card on that, about these light codes that have been coming in, sun codes. And we have Quest, searching for my grail. Okay. Okay. And so your higher self said it was sharing this information because sometimes we look to the outside world for confirmation of what we're feeling on the inside. Sometimes when you do a healing or a meditation, you get your confirmations on the outside. You see repeating numbers, you have certain people that come into your sphere, somebody says just the right thing. But remember, it works in the opposite polarity as well. Just as the positive polarity is wanting to help you on your path, and they want to help you grow, and they want to help you awaken and expand and throw all the repeating numbers your way, which is also an aspect of yourself doing that for you. But also the negative polarity, it does what it does. It can't help being a negative polarity. It just is. And so its job is to knock off its axis the positive polarity. And so, if anything, if you feel, um, I don't know, attacked in any way, for your beliefs or what you're doing, or to make you feel self conscious about yourself, or to second guess yourself, first of all, we have to figure out why we feel like we're ungrounded, or why we're second guessing ourselves. We go in, we do our own inward healing on that. But then we have to also take a look at the person or persons that were involved in whatever our daily situations are. These don't have to be big blow up events. It could just be a minor thing. Somebody, I don't know, flipping you off on the freeway or something. Just a quick little thing. Um, but also realize that if uh, if the negative polarity and lower astrals feel the need to use another human being to get to you and make you question yourself, then you know you're doing things right, that you are on the right path. Keep doing more of that. That should be your confirmation is I got like a whole group of people that seem to be pissed off at me lately and I'm not sure why. That's because you're on the right track. And that's quite the opposite of how we're conditioned in school, right? Literally, I just told a school story. In school, we're taught that it's when people agree with you and when people are happy, that's when we're on our right path. But that's not always the case. That sure, there will be people that resonate with what you're doing and they'll be happy with it. But then there are also the people that maybe aren't so happy with it. And that's because it doesn't resonate with them. It isn't their frequency. But the point is not to go down their frequency just to make them happy, but to stay at your frequency and grow. Um, and with that, you're going to get people that don't like it so much, and that shouldn't throw you off your path. Of course, we want to figure out why they're in our reality and why we might be feeling the way we do, and of course, we heal that. But yeah, I say just take it as a marker that you're doing great things, and that's what these upgrades are all about. It's getting you open to understanding that and being able to see when it's not genuinely a person speaking truth to you, when it's something else just trying to get to you, if that makes sense. So um let's see. John said a way to connect to the soul messages being delivered. Oh yeah. Do I need to repeat? Nope, you got it. John says, good thing I'm wearing my heart-shaped sunglasses. I'm just keeping my heart eyes at them and laugh. Thank you. I've been that person asleep and pulled any direction. And Susie said, exactly, Tara. She said, John, keep up the great work. Definitely, John. Keep it up. Keep it up. You're doing good things. And I'm so jelly that you have heart-shaped sunglasses. I used to have a pair and I lost them. They were the cool like fade. I thought they looked like a sunrise. They were like orangey pink like fade sunglasses. Lisa says, go to Jam Peeps. Until next time. Until next time, Lisa. All right. So we got our friend Lily, and she was looking for any guidance or any warnings to heed. You got it, sister. Whoa, how did my cards get upside down? That's crazy. It's like when you always shuffle the same way and then you wonder how your cards turn upside down. Little silly little energies always messing with my stuff. Whatever, I mess with them. Okay, Lily, let's tap in. Oh my gosh. Okay, Lily, I don't know if this makes any sense to you. You know that I'm always, when I tap into your energy, I always see like movies or song lyrics or something symbolic, right? So they're playing Gangnam Style in my head right now. And that just kind of popped out of nowhere. When I tapped into your energy, it's like Gangnam Style. Oh, eh. That little dance. Whoop, 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 Gangnam Style. I think it's in Korean. Yeah. So I don't know the rest of the words, but I just know Gangnam Style. John says, I'll just keep it up. Exactly. Keep it up. Okay, what the heck does Gangnam Style have to do with your message? Let me just. Unapologetic. It's very similar to John's message, just a little bit different. But the word that came up was unapologetic. Like think of the guy that made that song and that video. That he's unapologetic. He's just who he is, And if you like him, great. If you don't like him, too bad. He just does his thing. And it's like, he doesn't care. He's just going to wear his sunglasses, do his goofy dance, and he's just going to do it. And what you think isn't going to change what he does. Let's see. And so we have gift, the treasure inside. Oh, okay. So what was coming up? Um, so maybe when you were younger, maybe you hear it even now, like from friends or family, but sometimes the what people try to instill in you is that you're too much. Like, oh, Lily, you're a little too extra in this, or you're being too dramatic, or you're just too much. You're just too much energy, too much emotion, and things like that. And your higher self is saying, you're too much for them, but you're not too much for yourself. And just like we were saying with John, if somebody, let's say, I don't know, um, mom or something like that, says you're too extra, too much in this, of course we want to look inside and see, is there any truth to this, and if there is, then why do I feel the need to be a little bit extra? But also at the same time, we have to take a look at who's telling me this. So if it's, let's say, mom, and she's telling me that I'm a little too extra, then what in my energy is making her uncomfortable? And if she's uncomfortable, then perhaps that's a shadow within her. And I'm going to help her heal by continuing to be just exactly who I am, which is that person that makes her uncomfortable. And eventually, hopefully, this person will learn that they can be their own self too. Because usually it's when people tell us that we're a little too extra, or you're a little too much this, or you want to tone it down. Is because they're afraid of being a little extra. They were told to tone it down. They were told they were too much. And so in order to keep everybody else just, easy peasy, beautiful cover girl, they're just um they never really fully express how they truly feel. They're never truly themselves. But you are a wonderful example of somebody being unapologetically herself. So continue, just like John, you do you, boo. But yeah, of course, if anybody has issue with the things that you do, or how you feel, or how you emote, of course, we look into it and see, what the truth is, any healing there needs to be. But then we go right back into standing in our own power and remembering that it's making other people uncomfortable to a point, you know, if, not changing myself, by the way, if that makes other people uncomfortable, then that can only contribute to their healing, because that's where healing comes from. It comes from being uncomfortable sometimes. I mean, if shadow work were comfortable, we'd all be doing shadow work. If a healing were comfortable, we'd all be doing healing. But just like when people work out in the gym, working out, I mean, isn't always comfortable, but people do it because they know that there's a benefit, at least for them personally, for it. So anything that we do that we're going to see a benefit from, we are going to get the opposite energy from it as well, which the opposite energy of comfortable is uncomfortable. And to get to comfortable, we might be a little uncomfortable at first. So again, you keep doing you. um, okay, let's go back here. Mm, Lily says, I'm just so silly, maybe. And Susie says, Lily, I like your energy, very loving but sassy. Lily says, I'm not scared to be silly anywhere. Nice. Good, good. She says, right. I say, oh, well, deal with it. Yep. John says, that's weird. I got a message in a bottle in my head same time. Maybe don't bottle it up if you have something to say. Yes. John said, or Susie said, John, you speak, we listen. Lily says, I don't go out much. And when I do, I'm too much like how dogs sticking their head out the window, tasting the air. Great advice. Helping others is key. So yeah, whatever it is you do, and I'm glad you have the attitude of like, well, c'est la vie. I'm not going to change who I am just to make you more comfortable. So there's light and shadow in that. Of course, we have to look into, okay, like what, like sometimes we make, I guess there might be like the little devil horns inside of us where sometimes we make people uncomfortable because we just want to poke and prod, and that might be the ego version of ourselves that's like, hee, I'm gonna like do a little something. But then there's also the light version. The light version says, I'm just who I am, and other people are going to react to me the way they're going to react to me. I have no control over other people's reactions. So the only thing I can do is work on my own reaction and be true to myself. And hopefully that helps people see that they can be true to themselves as well. You know, they see how you handle it, they see how you react to it. And so hopefully later on in their healing journey, whatever, that is, they might decide, you know what, I remember there was this one lady, she didn't give a F about what other people thought about her, and she just did her own thing. I admire that woman. Maybe I want to be a little bit like her too, you know? So get the cogs turning. You and John both have a beautiful energy, and I think that you guys just being yourselves, and just working on yourself, that you are actually helping a lot of people in your outward reality. It may not seem like it, but you are a lot of people. So yay! Thank you for letting me read for you both. Lily said helping others is key. Yes, yes. And Susie backs that up with a 100 triple time. Okie dokie. Artichokes. I think it's time first for some chapstick. As I've been talking quite a bit. Hold on, it's in my pants. Aha! Okay. First some chapstick. And then I say we do our channeled guided meditation. Woohoo! Okay, so let me move off to the side here. Boo, boo, boo. I'm out the way. Okay. And we'll turn this like this. And we'll do a little like this. Huh? Maybe we'll lift it up. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Beautiful. Maybe we'll just look more at the trees here. There we go. Lily says, that makes me feel good. I love people to live out loud. Be happy. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I'm feeling that. Okay, so I'm going to pull a card here and see what our theme for today's channeled guided meditation is going to be. By the way, thank you to everybody who joined in the chat today, everybody who popped in and out, and some people stayed around for the story. Thank you guys for contributing to that story. I had a lot of fun. It helped to exercise my mind. But yeah, I encourage you guys to try out something like that. If you want to send me your stories or even do it as voice notes on Instagram, you can DM me. You could, at on.com. And yeah, I think that would be fun. So, all right, let's take a look at our theme here. Thank you to everyone who just hung out with us today. Everybody got readings today. It was funsies. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So, we have a card called Masks, and it says behind the folding screen. I don't know if you guys can see that. There we go. Interesting. Okay, so with that theme in mind, I'm going to do our guided meditation. Oh, Belle is here. It says, love your videos. Thank you. Thank you, Belle. Hey, you are right on time for a channeled guided meditation. That's what we're about to do. So let's go zen out. All right. Go ahead and find a nice comfortable space. You could be indoors, outdoors. You could be sitting under a tree, maybe like the beautiful junipers in the background. You could be lying down, sitting in a chair, perhaps sitting on a pillow on the ground, any place that's comfortable for you. And make sure that you are in a spot where you will be undisturbed for the next several minutes. And as you get nice and cozy, I want you to bring your awareness to your breathing, just feeling that gentle inhale and exhale, the gentle rise and fall of the chest. Just basking in how good it is to be here right now, in this moment, feeling absolute peace. With every inhale, feeling newness and vigor. And with every exhale, just releasing the worries of the outside world. Anything that you have to do today, people that you need to call, tasks you need to get done are a million miles away. And all that matters is this breath right here, right now. Breathing in and out. Knowing that the most important thing is this breath in this moment. Continuing to breathe and feeling that relaxation with every exhale, starting at the top of your head, moving all the way down the body to your tippy toes. And if you feel called to, go ahead and close your eyes if you haven't done so already. And now that we're in this place of complete relaxation and peace, I want you to imagine that you are standing on a stage. This could be a small high school stage. It could be a massive amphitheater. The type of stage is up to you. But we don't have any people in the audience for this performance. Just you and the stage. And as you become familiar with this stage, the colors, the feel of it, maybe testing out the acoustics, you look off to your right and you notice there is a table full of masks. Some masks are quite plain, perhaps carved out of wood. Other masks are elaborate, bejeweled in diamonds and rubies and feathers. Some masks are painted all manner of color. But there are a massive amount of masks to look at. And I want you to grab the mask that most appeals to you. And I want you to place this mask upon your visage, your face. And you notice that this mask fits you perfectly. It's as if it was molded from your own face. But after you've tied your mask on, you look to your left. And there is a beautiful full. You look at yourself with this mask on. How do you feel? Positive? Negative? Are there any emotions coming up with this? Any memories as you stare into the mirror? And now look out on the empty audience. And if there were an audience here, what type of people do you think this mask would attract? Who do you think would love to see you in this mask? Take your time with this. Now think about how you would feel around others wearing this mask. How does it feel in the ego? But also, how does it feel in your soul? Does this feel genuine, authentic? Does this feel like an aspect of you? After you've asked yourself these questions, go ahead and look back to your left at the full length mirror and take off your mask. How does it feel when you take the mask off? And how does it feel when you put the mask on? Do you feel like a different person? If so, how does your energy shift and change? How do you feel in your heart space? Perhaps the mask is quite plain, or perhaps it's quite, but how you view the mask is how you view that energy. And you have to ask yourself why you were drawn to that mask. And if this mask represents you authentically, or perhaps it doesn't. And we have to ask ourselves why. When you have done so, go ahead and place the mask back onto the table to your right. And now, as your hand hovers over, you find another mask that piques your interest. And as you look at the face of this mask and its hollow eyes, waiting for a soul to fill it, you go ahead and place that mask upon your face. And again, you look into the full length mirror to your left and ask yourself how you feel. How does it feel to put the mask on? What feelings are coming up for you? What memories? And again, we turn to an empty audience, asking ourselves again, what type of person does this mask call to? What type of energy does it bring in? What type of people would be surrounding a person in this particular type of mask? What does this mask help you do? What does it keep you from doing? Why are you attracted to this mask? And when you have your answers, again, turn to the mirror and remove your mask, making note of how you felt when untying this mask. How do you feel holding the mask in your hand, yet looking at your true form? And again, we're going to do this one more time, but keeping in mind you can come back to this exercise whenever you wish and go through as many masks as you wish. But for now, we're going to choose one more mask. Again, looking at the table, scanning it with our eyes, but also feeling into the energy as our hand hovers over all of them. And aha, you have your final mask. Again, how does it feel to touch that mask? What type of energy were you sensing from it? Why are you attracted to it? Why do you want to wear it at this time? And we put the mask on, and again, we turn to face our audience, our imaginary audience. How does it make you feel to stand there wearing that mask? The type of people that could be attracted to someone wearing that mask. What type of energy does it bring in? Again, how does it make you feel? Do you feel powerful, powerless? Do you feel confined? Do you feel free? Innocent feelings. And again, with another deep breath, we turn back to our mirror and we remove our mask. Again, staring at our own true face within that mirror. And ourselves holding that mask. What's coming up for you? And as we place that mask back on the table, we turn now to face our. And now, how do you feel? How do you feel with nothing masking who? That people would see the real you, the one that you can't hide behind, the one that just is, the one that no matter how hard you try, you can't help but shine from the inside. And all the feelings and everything coming up is something that you will make note of, working on later, looking into later. But for now, we're just getting a sense of self and how we feel standing on this stage for all to see. Do you feel nervous? Do you feel excited? Do you feel elated? Do you feel fear? Once you feel you have adequate information for future healings, I want you to imagine the curtains are coming to a close and you are now standing in the wings of the stage as it fades to black. And as light returns, we are returning into our bodies, perhaps wiggling our fingers and toes. And when you are ready, go ahead and have a nice stretch and open your eyes. Yay! All right. Okay, let me move my chair back over. Whoa, thank you guys for, whoa, okay, sorry, just banging on mirrors and everything. Thank you all for joining me in this guided meditation. Thank you for joining me for tarot story time today and for helping us out with the weekly reading as well. Thank you, thank you. I always have a lot of fun with you guys. Thank you for everybody who joined us for the giveaway a couple of weeks ago for the 10,000 subscribers. Everybody who's joined Patreon or my YouTube members, I appreciate all of your support. I've had people DM me, people email me with suggestions for channelings and ideas for content or videos for my channel. So I appreciate it greatly. I read each and every single comment. I try to respond to every comment in my videos and things like that. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have an amazing week. If you're having a birthday this week, happy birthday to you. Susie says thank you, and thank you to the chat as well. Um, John said, hi, Tree. Belle says, I'm trying to ground, but there is a country music festival happening outside of my apartment. I'll try my best to quiet my mind. John says, the challenge is bringing the meditation into your lived life, isn't it? Belle's like, yeah, 100% correct. And John said, my glow is too strong in this mask, narrow vision that looks like spotlights, and it's hot. Wow. All right. Well, I will try to maybe single out that meditation so I can make that a separate video if people just want to like skip past the chat and just watch the, or not watch, but do the guided meditation with us. So I'll try to do that for this week as well. Thank you. John says, love, love, love you all. Love you. Love everybody here. Thank you all for joining me. My mighty, mighty moderators, thank you. And have a great rest of your day. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out. Bye, guys.